been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock, only on GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
I'm Bev Turner. Thank you for joining us on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Morning. A humiliating climb down yesterday for the Prime Minister as his flagship welfare bill has descended into chaos.
A late concession to Labour rebels wipes out most of the £4.6 billion worth of savings that Sir Keir Starmer had pledged to deliver.
49 Labour MPs defied their own party. Question is, has Starmer now lost control?
A shocking new report finds universities did not protect gender-critical academics from harassment.
To put Doge on Elon, you know what Doge is? Doge is the monster that might have to go back and eat Elon. Wouldn't that be terrible?
Donald Trump threatening to set the Department of Government Efficiency on Elon Musk as the pair feud again over the president's budget plans.
Royal Week is underway in Scotland with the King and Queen attending events in Edinburgh.
And as temperatures hit new heights this week, a heated debate is unfolding in workplaces across the country. Should you be allowed to wear shorts in the office during hot weather times?
Eamonn's in shorts, but he won't say anything. In Wimbledon news this morning, total of 10 British players are now through to the second round of Wimbledon, including Jack Draper and Dan Evans. French Open champion Coco Gauff led an exodus of top seeds, knocked out yesterday. And Emma Raducanu takes on former Wimbledon champion Marketa Vondrousova this afternoon.
Hello there, good morning. A cloudier day ahead for some with some heavy showers, but for others, dry, bright, plenty of sunshine and not feeling quite as warm. Stay tuned and I'll have all the details.
On this Wednesday morning, a very good morning. We welcome you, whoever you're watching, however you're listening. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello and this is GB News Breakfast.
Now, later this morning, we are going to be debating about whether it is proper etiquette to wear shorts in the office, and I presume that means shorts either on males or females. Do you have any objection to it?
No objection to shorts. I think shorts are fine in hot weather. I don't like flip-flops. When people wear flip-flops in the office, I just think it looks really unprofessional.
Yeah.
I think you need to have a closed-toe shoe. Shorts are fine, I think. Yeah, what do you think?
I'm not so sure. See, the thing is that I've found now I've got to a certain age where my legs just not what they used to be. So I'm less comfortable in the shorts than I would have been.
What do you mean?
I don't know. They're just...
Oh, you'll find out.
You're going to find out about half an hour. There's something to look forward to. It's just... I don't know. I'm sure that the legs of... I'm just thinking... God, I can see old man legs now.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's not
true. They get more and more bowed, and it's just I'm not prepared to reveal them anymore.
It's sort of like when you look at temperatures, people in days of old, people who, served in Africa or whatever, had to put up with.
Yeah.
And And now, a little bit of sun and we all want to be naked, basically.
Yeah.
Why can't we stick to uniforms? I think if there were more uniforms and enforced clothing in the land, the world would be a better place.
Yeah, and there are lighter options for men as well. You can wear chinos or linen little trousers.
Or a Bermuda shorts.
Or what's a
Bermuda shorts. Yeah, that's what they have in Bermuda, don't they? They wear them with
Bermuda
suits. They're like suits with long shorts. They look ridiculous.
Oh, no, I don't think I can get on board with those.
Well, let us know what you think. Do you, don't you? The other thing I want to talk about today is, and I want your participation in all of this, I'm fed up. Fed up, totally. Honestly, I'm fed up
I know where you're
with
going with
shrinkflation. Right, absolutely. So just take this week so far. I had a beautiful crunchy. A crunchy bar is a beautiful, wonderful thing. It is one of God's greatest creations.
Yeah, you love a crunchy.
Underrated, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
but also undersized now.
Oh, no.
Just take them now. They're thinner. They're thinking, what? Okay, crunchy. Boom. Cadbury's fingers. Well, not my index finger. It's more like that finger now. So it is. It's absolutely ridiculous. Why would you need to shrink Cadbury's fingers? They're small enough. Yeah. They're shrunk now as well. And then I couldn't believe it.
Oh no.
Pringles.
Yeah. Oh, they shrunk as well.
Pringle. So instead of a Pringle being sort of, that size or whatever, Pringles now that size.
So the tube is now smaller and everything?
No, it's
the tube is still big.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, they don't start till about halfway down the tube.
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
See, that's what I hate about the packet of crisps. Packet of crisps.
Oh.
Go with the packet halfway down there.
Totally agree.
It's like it's all air and no crisp.
Well, a packet of crisps is like 3 handfuls, basically, and that's it, done.
All over a double.
Yeah, it's all terrible cheating. So they either charge us the same price or they charge us more, but they're making more out of this, and we are all accepting it. It seems to be standard practice. They can steal from under our very noses. That's what they can do. What have you found that has suddenly shrunk and no one's admitting to it?
Butter.
What?
Butter. Yeah.
Butter.
So much more expensive, and it's way smaller. Have you not noticed that? Butter.
No.
Cheese, same thing. Yeah, across the board. Happens across the board. What have you noticed?
God,
food basket.
cheese. I'm still when you said
Biscuits as
cheese.
well.
No, I'm with you. Chocolate. So I love the
Chocolates,
chocolate.
biscuits.
Because then they did it with, didn't they do it with Toblerone, and then they cut out the triangles so that you get one every other.
It was a real disappointment, Easter this year. And Easter eggs, the ridiculousness that goes on there. Anyway, as if the world isn't depressing enough. OK, some of the subjects we'll be talking about. The time now, 6 minutes past 6.
Let's go to our top story, which is Sir Keir Starmer's flagship welfare reforms bill has limped through its first vote in the House of Commons.
But that was only after a last-minute U-turn, and some of the key proposals of the bill then went, including plans to tighten the eligibility of PIP, personal independent payments.
Well, despite the concessions, 49 Labour MPs still voted against the bill, branding the whole process shambolic and unedifying.
I'm angry. This is no way to make legislation. What an absolute mess.
These Dickensian cuts belong to a different era and a different party.
I think that vote will hang like an albatross around their necks.
Now, questions are being raised over whether the government will increase taxes further, as almost all the £4.6 billion of savings, which were supposed to happen, have been lost.
Well, let's get more with the Deputy Editor of Spiked Online, Fraser Myers. Morning to you, Fraser.
Good morning.
What do you make of it?
Well, I mean, this isn't just a U-turn from Keir Starmer, as has been pointed out. This is a humiliation. This is a capitulation to Labour's rebels. I mean, last week we had 126 MPs there or thereabouts threatening to kill this bill. We still had 49 MPs threatening to kill even this very, very watered-down version of the welfare reforms. And these reforms are pretty urgent, not just for the fiscal position, as Rachel Reeves, that's really the reason why this is happening. Rachel Reeves wants to save some money. She wants to fill up her so-called black hole, and now these new reforms will basically not do that at all. But also, just for the fact that there are so many people languishing in this country on disability benefit when they could be productive and working, and that's bad for them as well as it is for the public finances.
How do you tell the difference, Fraser, as to who these people are? Because for every one of those people, there's someone else who does desperately need this help.
That's absolutely right. And I think one of the problems with these reforms was that it was basically going to say that everyone who succeeds in getting personal independence payments from a certain point onwards would have had a lesser rate. Now, if we agree that people are deserving, then why should some people be more deserving than others if they both qualify for the benefit, if that makes sense? I think what's happened, though, is there's a few things. One is that many of the assessments now are happening over the phone, so that kind of increases people's likelihood of trying it on. So there's a report in the Taxpayers Alliance suggesting that people are claiming for things like anxiety and depression, acne, alcoholism, drug abuse. These are not things that people should be claiming for. We should be using the money to help people who have serious impairments, either if they cannot work, to ensure they have the best possible life, or to support them to work, to give them the help they need, whether that's through carers or adjustments to their homes and transport. But something has clearly gone very wrong with the welfare system, and it's very clear that the rise in claimants has very little to do, and the Financial Times did a brilliant piece on this recently. It is entirely based on changes to policy. It has nothing to do with, it's no relationship with the amount of people who are sick or disabled. And so the problem is that the government needed to reform this. Their reforms weren't very good. They were inadequate, and in some cases would have been punitive, which is a problem. But now we've seen the way that Labour MPs are behaving. There is no chance of this being reformed, of this nettle being grasped this Parliament, which is quite worrying. And it could have implications for all other things, because this government came in, said it was going to bring change. It was going to be a reforming government. It's going to take the tough decisions. Remember the tough decision on winter fuel payment that it took and then quickly reversed. We wonder what other tough decisions will be reversed at the first sight of a backbench rebellion. The rebels know that they can force the government to climb down now.
Well, that's what they know now, don't they?
Yeah.
What does this mean for Sir Keir Starmer and his authority? Because he's spilt a lot of blood here for very little reward. And he took on his MPs and lost.
He took on it, yeah, exactly. He took on his MPs. His MPs won. His MPs know that they effectively can overrule anything. They know, and also what often happens is many of these MPs. They owe their seats to Keir Starmer. They should have been the most compliant bunch of MPs ever, and yet even they are getting a taste for rebellion. And it's often said that once you rebel as a backbencher, once you get a taste for defying the government,
but
I
hear what you're saying, Fraser. I do, but people could also be looking at this and thinking, this is morally wrong. What he's doing here, he's picking on the wrong people. I mean, I say this till I'm blue in the face. If someone said to me, Eamonn, come on into the Treasury and save us some money today, I could do it in no time. There's things you're going to find that are going to affect people, not a huge amount of people and whatever, but anyway, you look at this and you think, this was picking a fight where he didn't have to pick a fight. Really?
And I think definitely the way they've gone about this has been picking on the wrong people, certainly. But I do think the broader welfare situation needs to be dealt with.
But what we've learnt about that, Fraser, is there's not an appetite to deal with it.
Yes.
So I wonder if it can ever be dealt with, because every time we're going to go near reforming the benefit system, you're going to have MPs going, oh, no.
And I think, we're going to see that with every difficult question, is that the benefit system, the tax system, the planning system. We haven't had any of the government's promise to reform planning. We haven't had any of the rows about that. Let's see what happens as soon as there are threats to build lots of houses in various people's constituencies. What will MPs say about that? It seems as if there is really not an appetite for any kind of reform that might be in any way disruptive.
Yeah. Aye. Well, you see, Fraser, let's hold that thought, and we're going to speak to disability advocate. You may have seen her in Big Brother as well. She's a former Big Brother contestant, Kerry Riches. Kerry, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Not at all. Thank you for being there. And Kerry, you see, it's interesting. Tell people what your problem is and how this is affecting you or could have affected you.
Yeah, absolutely. I've lived with multiple sclerosis for the last 17 years. I was diagnosed shortly after having my son, and he's now 17 years old. Honestly, I did not move yesterday from 12:30 until 7:45. For someone that doesn't work in government, I've made myself a critical friend, and I've got as much as I can to know about the Green Paper and, of course, this welfare bill. Honestly, I think it was chaotic, and I think it was completely avoidable. They've gone for the wrong people. I was championing, not to touch PIP, and I am obviously delighted that they removed that clause 5. But at 5:30 last night, it seemed like the whole situation for me yesterday just seemed like it was nonsensical, inhumane. It actually felt to me like no one knew really what was going on. I could not believe my very eyes. I've had people contact me to say that they feel worthless, that they are scared, that they are pushed into poverty.
Yeah.
I do believe it was anxiety.
Kerry, Fraser was talking about this, and we're saying that the welfare bill needs dealing with. But it's listening to you talk there, and what we've been saying here in the studio is nobody's going to be able to deal with it.
I believe they are, Eamonn. I really do. And we've said since day one, I've not met one disabled person receiving any welfare benefit that hasn't said, please work with us. Co-production is absolutely everything. And I've forever said, even when I went to the Labour conference last year, do not talk about us without us. The best policies are made when the people the people around the table. I worked in the NHS for 2 decades, and honestly, the best policies are made when you've got the people that are affected around that table to make those decisions, and I stand by that. And what I'm delighted about is actually it looks like they're going to do that now, but it's too little too late.
Yeah. But Kerry, there's also a thing I'm going to bring. This is very personal, and I think people get very, very jealous over others who they see as getting something for nothing, right? Whether rightly or wrongly. And what's the car scheme that there is? You get a cheaper car. Well, what's that called?
Yeah, that's what I get. So I don't get. I only receive the non-means tested benefit, which is PIP, and I don't get any physical money. It's a Motability scheme, and I have an adapted vehicle.
Yeah, well, I can tell you, right, in Belfast, oh my God, everybody's complaining. You go to your car showroom, Fraser, right, on a Saturday morning or whatever, and it's full of people coming in to claim their Motability, and the jealousy. Now, whether that is justifiable or whether it's not, but Kerry, you can see the whole problem where people are thinking, she's getting a Nissan Micra here, whatever it is, and I can only afford or whatever.
And do you know what I do when I see that? I've just recently put on my story, and I did a wonderful article actually with the Motability Scheme magazine. Live a day in my shoes. I've got no feeling at all from the knee down. I have a fully adapted vehicle. I drive my vehicle with my hands. I steer it, I brake it, I accelerate everything with my hands. My feet just don't really work. I've got a hoist in the back of my car with a mobility scooter. I think it's really, really dangerous when people start to wish themselves that they had something that they haven't, because let's face it, we are really only one diagnosis or one accident away from all needing that scheme, and it's a lifeline. It's given me back my independence. It's a fantastic scheme, and I think that it says more about them people than it does the people claiming it, if they're really jealous about that, because it's not fun, actually. It changed my life 17 years ago. It's now my superpower. It's pushed me to do things I would never have done. But it makes me very cross when people have that attitude with us. And actually, I believe, and I blame the government, that they, back in March, they did a them and us divide. And that breaks my heart, because it definitely put the disabled people against everybody else, whether or not it's a visible disability or a non-visible. Both are equally as important, but they've caused a real upset there and a real divide that didn't need to be there.
Yeah, Kerry, it's really powerful to hear the human side of all of this, which you may say that's been lost in this whole debate. But thank you very much for your time this morning. Really good to hear your voice on that. Thank you.
Kerry, thanks. It's really good, as Ellie says there, about putting a real face to this and a real story to this. Thank you very much indeed. Well, what do you think of that, Fraser?
Well, I think it just underlines how the government has gone about this completely the wrong way round. It's gone into this looking to save a few quid.
Which they won't even do now.
Which they won't even do now, rather than thinking about what is the best way to reform the system in a way that both protects people who deserve protection, but also roots out some of the more sillier aspects of it that we've seen, and some of the areas where there is obviously waste. But they haven't done that. They've barreled into this, rushed it through, and now we're seeing the consequences playing out.
Well, this is going to be the big talking point of the day, obviously, Fraser, and I know you're going to be back, and we're going to talk about this after 7 o'clock.
Fraser.
For the moment, thank you very much indeed. That brings us to our poll of the day.
Today, we are asking, has the welfare climb down permanently damaged the PM? I think I know what you're going to say to that one. You can get involved by scanning the QR code on your screen now, or you can head to gbnews.com/poll.
OK, we'll get a final result of that during Martin Dobney's programme this afternoon. Right, weather. It's on the chain. Would you think a bit of rain?
I think so.
OK, let's see what Honor says about that. Good morning.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It could be a cloudier day for some with some showery outbreaks. These could turn heavy, possibly even thundery in many parts, but for many it is going to be feeling a lot cooler than it has done over the last few days. But nevertheless, quite a cloudy start, particularly across eastern and southeastern parts. This is cloud thick enough to produce some showers at times, and these showers could be particularly heavy across eastern parts of Scotland, northeastern England. Could hear the odd rumble of thunder and possibly some heavy showers creeping into the southeast at times too, but for many it should be a largely dry and bright day. Still warm in the sunshine with highs reaching around 26 degrees Celsius, but it's going to feel much fresher, not quite as humid as it has done over the last few days. Then to finish off the day across Scotland, largely dry and bright to the west, but most of the showers creeping into eastern areas where once again one or two could be heavy, if not quite blustery, and fairly similar across Northern Ireland, northern parts of England. Mostly dry, though we can't rule out some showers, but definitely fewer showers across northeastern England compared to much of the day. And elsewhere across England and Wales, it should be mostly dry and a clear end to the evening. A breeze starting to pick up, which should offset the heat as well. But for many, as we head through the overnight period, it is going to feel much fresher, not quite as muggy and as uncomfortable, and for many it should remain largely dry. That's away from the northwest though. Cloud creeping in here and also some showers by the time we reach the early hours of the morning, but this time lows reaching the high single figures, so definitely not going to feel quite as warm to start on Thursday compared to what we've had over recent days. Now for many on Thursday, largely dry and bright, plenty of blue skies, particularly across the south and southeast, but once again across the northwest, more cloud pushing in here, some quite blustery showers, and once again one or two of these could turn rather heavy. So feeling a little fresher under cloudier skies, but once again warm and any sunshine, particularly across central parts and across the south. Bye-bye.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Do stay with us. Still to come, Wimbledon is well underway. Paul Coit will be here with the sport next. He's actually promised us strawberries and cream today, so we can look forward to that later on. I'm going to remind you of that. Yeah, he promised us yesterday, remember?
Very nice.
So we'll hold him to account.
This is our country, and we think it's amazing. From high tea to the high street, we love it all. Even the rain, we like that too. There's nowhere else we'd rather be. That's why we're here to be the fearless champion of Britain, its voices and its values. Because we are GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date. Or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Breakfast. We're going through all the latest sports news, but really there's only one story in town, right, Coity?
What's that then?
Wimbledon.
Oh, yes. Wimbledon is...
I'm really getting into it.
Is it more popular this year than ever?
I think it's the weather. It's really helping things.
I think it is.
Yeah, we've all got tennis fever.
You know, I was thinking about Eamonn yesterday. Dan Maskell. You remember Dan Maskell?
Yeah.
The great... You must have met Dan.
I didn't meet Dan, no.
Did you not meet Dan Maskell?
No, commentator.
The greatest, or the most well-known tennis commentator there ever was.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking about him. I don't know why, when I was just watching the tennis yesterday, and there was a thing about Dan Maskell, and he's probably, been dead probably 20 years or so, maybe even longer. But he commentated right the way up till he was very old, and he was a champion.
Beautiful, commanding, comfortable
And he
voice.
did very posh. And he always used to describe the shot just before someone won the match. Do you remember? It was like this, the wonderful cross-court backhand volley from McEnroe leaves him match point. And he'd always do that. So I don't know what made me think of Dan Maskell, but Dan Maskell, one of the greats. That's it. That's all I got for you. Wimbledon, let's talk about what's going on now, shall we?
Yes.
The British #1, Jack Draper. You know what? I've got a very good feeling about Jack Draper. I just see all the seeds that are falling by the wayside in the last couple of days, and Jack Draper looked terrific yesterday.
Where would he be ranked?
He's
number 4 in the world.
Number 4. Number 3 has gone.
Yeah.
So there, yeah. So
That's
we've
good.
got 1 and 2. Alcaraz and also Sinner. So Jack Draper stands a great chance. I think we've got a bit of him in action. Played Argentinian Sebastian Baez. Next to Joan, I'd say he's probably my favourite Baez. Anyway, although Sebastian Baez was injured after 2 sets, so he was winning it so easily, Jack Draper. So then Baez had to go off. So you know what? That's not bad. It's just a little warm-up there for Jack Draper, although he said he did want to play on a little bit longer. There we are. We can see some of the game there. But this is unfortunate there. There's Jack looking good. And there's Baez, 5'7", by the way. He's not the tallest tennis player.
He's not. No.
Not the tallest tennis player from Argentina. But then realised he was injured, goes over, and then Jack, being a gentleman, points to him and says, give him a big round of applause. So that's a good opening start for Jack Draper. And I think he's going to go a long way. Touching wood, he's going to go a long way.
Do you think we could see him in a final?
Why not? Why not?
You've got Sinner, you've got Djokovic in the mix.
Who knows? He's got Marin Cilic, who's playing next, who was finalist in 2017, won a tournament, I think it was in Nottingham just a couple of weeks ago. Now, next we've got Dan Evans, beat another Brit, Jay Clark. Now faces... he's got Novak Djokovic next. So Djokovic, 7-time winner. He played yesterday. He won in 4 sets against Alexander Muller. So afterwards, he said he felt a little under the weather while he was playing. So let's have a look and see what he had to say when he was interviewed after the game.
To be quite frank, went from feeling my absolute best for set and a half to my absolute worst for about 45 minutes. Whether it was a stomach bug or I don't know what it is, but yeah, just struggle with that. The energy kind of kicked back after some doctor's miracle pills. And yeah, I managed to finish the match on a good note, let's say.
Don't know why his miracle pills are.
Yeah.
He's feeling very under the weather. Doctor comes on, gives us a miracle pills, and all of a sudden he's fantastic again. So anyway, well done. He looked very good. Alexander Zverev has gone, so he's the 3rd seed. 2 days the game took. 5-set marathon against Arthur Rinderknecht. It started in June, finished in July.
Oh,
It was
wow.
the first game,
There you go.
last day of June, finished yesterday. So he's the 4th top 10 player to go out in the first round, along with Lorenzo Bassetti. Holger Rune has gone, Daniil Medvedev has gone, and now Coco Gauff
I know, a shocker.
has gone.
Yeah.
How about that? French Open champion. High hopes for Coco Gauff, but she was pretty poor yesterday. World number 42, Diana Yastremska from Ukraine, beat Coco Gauff 7-6. So the first one went to a tie-break, and then Yastremska looked fantastic and destroyed Coco. 6-1 in the second set.
Wow.
So there we are. Look, she can't believe it. Can't believe it. Coco storms off, then did the press conference afterwards, was in tears, very unhappy, and said how much she hates losing.
Oh,
but
no.
don't we all? Don't we all?
Don't we all?
Yeah.
Just seeing some football news on the back pages. Well, there's nothing on back 8 pages in the Daily Mail's only tennis. That's all they're interested in. But some of the other papers are talking about transfer news. Now, this Marcus Rashford business, Aston Villa don't want him.
Yeah. Because he's gone on loan. He went on loan to Villa, didn't he, from Manchester?
Yeah, he's 300,000 quid a week in terms of wages.
Correct.
That's what he would be. But there's rumours today over many of the newspapers that Bayern Munich would like to make a bid for him and team him up with Harry Kane.
Possible. Yeah, possible. See, there's only a certain amount of clubs in the world that would be prepared and can pay the money that he's on. He wanted to go to Barcelona, but like I said, who doesn't? I'd like to go to Barcelona. It's not very well. Oh, yeah, I'd like to play alongside Lamine Yamal.
This guy would have been valued at 100 million a year and a half ago.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Now 40 million, so maybe they make up the difference that way.
I just wonder whether it's just looking at clubs who could afford him and thinking, Bayern Munich, are they going to go for him? That sort of money, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. But he's out of favour at Manchester United. Villa obviously don't want him because then there's the amount of money they've got to pay. So what's going to happen to him? You're going to price yourself out of the game. That's the problem.
OK. Paul, thank you very much indeed. Are you bringing strawberries and cream in or not? I thought you said he was bringing strawberries and cream.
I did say that, yeah.
Do you want strawberries and cream?
Absolutely.
Well, it was offered to me.
Well, I'll do.
He hasn't done it. He hasn't done it.
You would prefer that I offered it to you before you asked for it.
Well, it was just a nice, pleasant surprise. My colleague said to me that Cordy's bringing in strawberries and cream for us today. I thought that's really nice. And there's Cordy, no strawberries and cream.
But your colleague mentioned it to you, but didn't actually
mention it to you.
I haven't reminded you, but I have now.
You leave it with me.
Yeah.
Leave it with me.
You talk a bit more tennis with me in the next hour, then I'll do your strawberries.
Yeah.
How about that?
Maybe.
OK. Well,
And the shops aren't open yet, so we've got to give them a chance.
yeah, give me a chance.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. Following a week of soaring temperatures, we've got the coolest cash prize of the summer to be won, and it is
£54,321 in tax-free cash. It's a good one, and it could all be yours. Here are all of the details that you need.
The Great British Giveaway is now even greater, with your chance to win our biggest cash prize so far. A totally tax-free £54,321 cash could be yours. Cash that you could spend however you like. It's like having an extra £1,000 each week for a whole year to play with. Imagine what you could do with that. Someone is guaranteed to win this amazing amount of cash, so make sure that someone could be you. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Very nice, more than very, very nice. What are the roads like if you're out and about this morning? Here's how they're looking.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A84 between Loch Lubnaig and Kilmahog is closed due to overnight roadworks, leading motorists to anticipate extended travel times. Additionally, on the A470, essential maintenance work near the Betty WZ Coed rail bridge results in a full road closure with detours in place. In Durham, a collision has occurred on the A1M southbound at junction 61, prompting the closure of all lanes, although normal conditions are forecasted to resume by 7:30 this morning. Furthermore, Avanti West Coast trains are experiencing disruptions between Stoke-on-Trent and Macclesfield. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Do stay with us. Still to come, we're going to be going through the papers with Norman Baker and Claire Muldoon. There they are. Chat to you in just a few moments. This is GB News Breakfast with Eamonn and Ellie.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here.
I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Breakfast. We're going through the papers with former Liberal Democrat Minister Norman Baker and the journalist Claire Muldoon. And this story's caught our eye, hasn't it?
If you scrabble around for a banknote in your purse or your pocket or whatever this morning, we see a story. This is being relayed in the Mirror today. The public is being asked for ideas of the people they would like to see on the next series of banknotes, Norman. Have you anything you'd like to contribute?
Well, I think it's a really nice idea to get the public involved, and it's our notes, isn't it? So why shouldn't the public have to say on who's on notes? And it's not just people; it's also places, and anything particularly British. I mean, I'd like to see Big Ben on some notes, which is a very distinctive element of this country. Big Ben, everybody recognises Big Ben across the world. Being rather popular, so I'd have the Beatles on there. The best band that we've ever had, the best band in the world ever.
For heaven's sake, Norman.
You careful, you'll upset the viewers. Beatles are fantastic. But you want something like that which recognises the talent that's been in this country. We've had Shakespeare, of course, and we've had Winston Churchill. But let's have something a bit more up to date.
David Attenborough.
A brilliant idea.
Thank you.
Brilliant idea.
No, I've just come up with that, and I thought that was quite good. And then they also encourage ideas, nature, don't they? So I thought maybe some acorns.
Why not a beaver?
A beaver is a great idea, Claire.
Two things.
And a dam.
Two things to mention on this, right? One, you still cannot pass a Scottish note in anywhere in England, and for fear it will not be accepted as legal tender, right?
But can they not?
It is legal tender.
Of course
but it is legal. Yeah, it is legal tender. Same as an Ulster note.
Yeah.
It's all sterling. It's got the word sterling written on it and whatever. But you do find a certain resistance to...
Huge resistance. And see, the minute they start to hold it up in the air, I'm like, I'm going to get you. Just don't ignite.
When I came back from Aberdeen last time, full of Scottish notes, and I went into shops, I didn't have any resistance, and I was ready for it, though. I was ready for it. I was going to say, well, take it or leave it.
It's legal tender.
It's legal tender.
Yeah, but the other thing is it not the Bank of England that wants to remove the historical characters on the notes? I mean, who actually uses cash? I prefer to use cash in most cases, OK? But we're finding that more and more people are not actually using cash, and then the Bank of Wokery have now said, let's get rid of the historical features on it and let's move on with something more modern.
No,
so I'm glad you like that,
They
Norman.
want to get rid of it because it gives them control, it gives governments control, that they can see everything you're spending, everything you're doing and how you're spending it. And I think it's really creepy.
So do I.
The other thing that's wrong with it, actually, buying by card, is that the people who own the transaction between the retailer and the customer are all American companies.
Yeah.
And they take a rake off of about 1%, 2% for nothing. That's all money going out the country.
We had the discussion about the minimisation of actually a £10 worth.
Yes.
Yes, that's
right. And by the time it's passed on, if you tap and go, then it's diminished. Whereas if you had the physical £10, it's still £10.
Well, it's interesting that we three would like the feel of notes. And
I like the feel of notes as well.
That's four of us.
I feel rich when I've got cash in my
Younger
pocket.
people in general, I mean, I couldn't give my kids money. You say...
You can give me money any time.
No, but you say to them, do you need any money for a taxi? Do you need this? Do you need that? No. Or they say, can you give it to me on my card? They don't want the cash.
Oh.
They just don't.
No, it's perfectly true. I wouldn't say I agree with the feel of the money, because I used to like the notes when they were paper notes and plastic now.
No, they're plastic.
Which are horrible, and they kind of slip around in your pocket. And also they've got animal content in them, so you're vegetarian. It's kind of...
that's a whole can of worms you've just opened there.
But I mean, it's just, if you're a vegetarian, do you actually want animal product in your notes?
No, probably don't. But you thought about who you want in your notes now? I thought you'd have great
person
ideas.
I can think of is Alex Ferguson, but he'd be too divisive, really, wouldn't he?
No, I'd agree with that, because he was managing Aberdeen.
Yeah. Great time he had at Aberdeen. I think he did a magnificent job at Aberdeen.
Brilliant.
What about David Beckham?
Yeah.
No.
Best footballer we've had?
No.
He's not ready yet.
Why don't we put Glastonbury in one of the notes? It's the pyramid stage.
Nah.
That would get everyone talking.
Why don't we ask the viewers what they think?
Yeah.
All right, okay.
Yes, that's a really good shout-out, Norman. What would you like to see on a banknote? People, places, events, nature. Let us know. gbnews.com.
Yeah, we'll maybe continue that next time when you're back. What about last night, this benefits bill last night, and what we've got? And it's on the front page of most of the papers today. But a lot of people are saying the vote turned into a bit of a farce, Claire.
Do you know what? I'll tell you what we've got. We've got an incompetent government at best, a horrific one at worst. This is a man who came into government last July, almost a year, with 166 working majority in the House of Commons, OK? And for him now to have had such an abysmal start to his premiership in this country, I think the whole thing needs to be seriously looked at, as does he. And I would love to look inside his head, because as we know, I always said he was a machine, he's a robot. I don't think there'd be much in it. And the way he treated, in good times, when he was head of the Labour Party, people like Diane Abbott, people, you know, and bringing in this welfare reform bill, the pensioners' fuel
winter
fuel allowance. It's all just adding up, isn't it? And
But
if we can add up, why can't
Norman,
Rachel Reeves?
Is it the way Rachel Reeves and the Prime Minister are being advised? Because it's not them that are thinking up these policies. Someone's whispering in their ear and saying, this is a good idea, but it's obviously not a good idea.
Well, Morgan McSweeney, who's a Svengali in number 10, is clearly behind some of this. But look, I mean, this is a failure of party management as much as anything else. What you have to do is listen to your MPs. They're elected, they're part of a Democratic Party, then you have to consult them, consult affected parties like disabled people in this particular case before you take decisions on it. And then you can take a decision. You know, it's cart before the horse. You announce a policy, then you've got to consult afterwards. That's not right. It's not the wrong way around. So, but this is not new. I mean, if I was in government, we had a situation where you suddenly hear that number 10's announced something, or the Chancellor's announced something, without any consultation with the department involved, you know, the Transport Department or the Home Office in my case. And you just think, well, what is this policy? It's wrong. And it's just these spotty 19-year-olds in number 10, frankly, who think they can write up policy without consulting the people who actually know what's going on.
I think it goes deeper than that. He is the head of the party. He is the head of the country. He should be taking a complete accountability and not taking away the safeguard or giving back the safeguard for PIP and disability payments, which incidentally is a payment for people actually in work. I mean, it goes against the grain of what they were trying to do.
OK, we'll have a think about that as we go, and you guys will be back right after this. This is time now for our daily reflection.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Hi, my name is Andy, and I'm a vicar in the Church of England. After university, I taught for 3 years at a school in Winchester, and a colleague, a science teacher, frequently used the well-known mantra, "You are what you eat." That's true for both our bodies and our minds. And whether we're vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian, or full-blown carnivore, from the wide range of food and cooking programs and podcasts, most of us are selective about what we'll watch, try out in our kitchens, and then eat. We want food to our taste that will nourish and satisfy, and perhaps even surprise us. However, in our rapid information and social feed-saturated culture, what we feed our minds on is far more challenging. Paul's words to the church in Philippi are worth reflecting on. Whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Eat well on these and unplug from what's unhelpful. And he adds, and the God of peace will be with you.
And we take you into the break now with the European weather. Here's where the sunspots are.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The European heatwave is set to continue, many areas seeing temperatures widely in the mid to high 30s, and this could be enough to trigger some thunderstorms across the Alps. But across Portugal, Spain, mostly settled, but still those intense temperatures starting to drop away from Thursday onwards. Some quite heavy showers across parts of Switzerland. These could bring some intense hail and also some frequent lightning. But as we move our way eastwards across the Mediterranean, mostly settled, plenty of sunshine and temperatures widely still in the mid to high 30s.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Good afternoon, Britain. A cheerful lollipop man's signature high fives have been stopped in their tracks.
Oh dear. Well, Neil Cotton, believed by local children... sorry. I'll start that all over again. This is a chap called Neil Cotton, and he's beloved by local kids in Howden, East Yorkshire. And he's been told by the council to stop the friendly high-fiving gesture, all in the name of health and safety.
But many parents and motorists are calling it nonsense. No surprises there. So apparently this chap, 57 years old, he spent the last 2 years brightening up the school run in the East Yorkshire town of Howden. There he is, looks like a nice guy, doesn't he? He has a cheerful attitude. He has his signature high fives. The children love it, the parents love it, he loves it. But no, the council says, get on with your job and stop the high fives.
This is the one area of employment where the council's trying to chivvy people on and get them to work harder rather than less hard. But I mean, what have we done in this country where we've sort of abandoned our sense of whimsy? I think adding a sense of whimsy to all jobs, I think, is a fundamental productivity measure, actually. I think if you're enjoying what you're doing, you're going to be doing it better. People are going to go into school or away from school with a smile on their face. What a joyful thing in a town in Yorkshire. I mean, amazing, brilliant. And yet, no, of course, the clipboards have to come out and the dour library monitor style individuals. I bet they're all library monitors at school. They've just got to tell people that they can't have fun.
Yeah, so the children have to be shooed along. They can't be distracted by such frivolities as a high five.
GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Now, because she doesn't know...
Oh, we're back. Going through your papers. Good job. Good job warning about that. Former Liberal Democrat Minister Norman Baker and journalist Claire Muldoon are here with us going through some stories. Can we talk about...
I was thinking about more people for those notes.
Oh, yeah, were you?
What about Jackie Stewart?
Oh, the racing driver.
Racing driver,
yeah. Joanna Lumley.
Joanna Lumley's a good one.
Rod Stewart.
Rod Stewart's a good one.
I'd be up for that one. His set at Glasgow was out of this world.
It was brilliant, wasn't it?
He's fantastic. I've seen him live. He's
Rod
brilliant.
Stewart on a note's a good idea.
80 years old.
Well, he wears it well.
Oh, see what you did there.
Very, very good. Maybe some of our veterans, I'm thinking now. In the Second World War.
Lost in me. I prefer the poets, I prefer Shakespeare, I prefer Winston Churchill, I prefer the Decoder. I just like historical facts.
Yeah? Well, let us know. Keep them coming in. gbnews.com/you'll say. Can we have a look at alligator Alcatraz, Claire?
Yeah. So in Florida, there's this bit of land that they're going to cordon off. They've done it in 10 weeks or so now, and this will be to put illegal migrants in for them, and then the only way out is an airplane flying them back to wherever they came from in the first place.
Yeah. Do you know what it's actually reminding me of at the moment? This place. The Houses of Parliament, with all the alligators and all the vipers in the nest ready to catch all the MPs that fall out. Trump says menacing migrants, some of the most vicious people on the planet, will be sent there. The administration said alligators, crocodiles and pythons in the surrounding wetlands would keep detainees from escaping. Great idea. Get them in there, get them processed, get them back out.
Norman?
Alligators are a bit severe, aren't they, really? I hope no one's going to lose their limbs.
I've never met one.
No, I don't know wish to meet one either, actually, to be honest with you. But my father-in-law's had to play golf in Florida, and there were alligators all around the golf course. So they weren't actually allowed to walk from hole to hole. They had to take a buggy, which rather destroyed the point of getting exercise in the golf course, I think.
But it's a great idea. I think
it's a deterrent, isn't it?
It's a deterrent, and already 1 million have actually self-deported themselves after this was announced. And it just goes to show also what actually can be administered, what can be done in 10 weeks. We can barely build some houses here in this country. We've got a lot to learn from the Trump.
OK, well, meanwhile, Norman, we hit the 20,000 mark this year for illegal migrants crossing the Channel. What can be done? What can be done? Can anything be done?
Well, I mean, historically, let's just concentrate on the figures. Between 2014 and 2016, there were 9 people arrived on small boats to this country. 9, that was all there was. In 2020, 8,438 only across the whole year. So this is going up and up and up every single year. Now, of course, when we were in the European Union, part of the Dublin Agreement was we didn't use it very often, but we were able to send people back to other European countries. That, of course, was no longer possible when we left the EU, so that option has been lost, although I gather they're trying to negotiate it again with the French to reopen that particular option. It's also worth pointing out, as I always do on this occasion, that the number of legal migrants who come in is up to 1 million a year, so this is a small proportion of that.
OK. Thanks for that thought. Norman, your thoughts, welcome. Have your say. Get in touch. Claire Norman will be back in about 40 minutes' time.
Now, let's get a check on the weather, because it's raining today.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It could be a cloudier day for some with some showery outbreaks. These could turn heavy, possibly even thundery in many parts, but for many it is going to be feeling a lot cooler than it has done over the last few days. But nevertheless, quite a cloudy start, particularly across eastern and southeastern parts. This is cloud thick enough to produce some showers at times, and these showers could be particularly heavy across eastern parts of Scotland, northeastern England. Could hear the odd rumble of thunder and possibly some heavy showers creeping into the southeast at times too, but for many it should be a largely dry and bright day. Still warm in the sunshine with highs reaching around 26 degrees Celsius, but it's going to feel much fresher, not quite as humid as it has done over the last few days. Then to finish off the day across Scotland, largely dry and bright to the west, but most of the showers creeping into eastern areas where once again 1 or 2 could be heavy, if not quite blustery, and fairly similar across Northern Ireland, northern parts of England. Mostly dry, though we can't rule out some showers, but definitely fewer showers across northeastern England compared to much of the day. And elsewhere across England and Wales, it should be mostly dry and a clear end to the evening. A breeze starting to pick up, which should offset the heat as well. But for many, as we head through the overnight period, it is going to feel much fresher, not quite as muggy and as uncomfortable, and for many it should remain largely dry. That's away from the northwest though. Cloud creeping in here and also some showers by the time we reach the early hours of the morning, but this time lows reaching the high single figures, so definitely not going to feel quite as warm to start on Thursday compared to what we've had over recent days. Now for many on Thursday, largely dry and bright, plenty of blue skies, particularly across the south and southeast, but once again across the northwest, more cloud pushing in here, some quite blustery showers, and once again 1 or 2 of these could turn rather heavy. So feeling a little fresher under cloudier skies, but once again warm and any sunshine, particularly across central parts and across the south. Bye-bye.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Due to planned maintenance, the A470 near Beat-Tibuez Coed is closed at the rail bridge with diversions in place. Apologies for any inconvenience on the A1M southbound, where a road traffic collision has closed all lanes at junction 61 in Durham. Traffic conditions should improve shortly this morning. Meanwhile, the closure on the A84 between Loch Lubnaig and Kilmahog requires patience as there is no suitable diversion. consider waiting for the next amnesty period. And on the trains, there's no service on the Gatwick Express, and Avanti West Coast is experiencing disruptions between Stoke-on-Trent and Macclesfield. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
£54,321 cash could be yours. Cash that you could spend however you like. It's like having an extra £1,000 each week for a whole year to play with. Someone is guaranteed to win this amazing amount of cash. So make sure that someone could be you. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. A humiliating climb down for the Prime Minister as his flagship welfare bill descends into chaos.
Well, late concession last night to the Labour rebels wiped out most of the £4.6 billion savings that Starmer had pledged to deliver.
With 49 Labour MPs defying their own party, a question this morning: has Starmer lost control?
A shocking new report found universities didn't protect gender-critical academics from harassment.
To put Doge on Elon, you know what Doge is? Doge is the monster that might have to go back and eat Elon. Wouldn't that be terrible?
What's this got to do with...
Donald Trump threatens to set the Department of Government Efficiency on Elon Musk as the pair feud again over the president's budget plans.
In Scotland, in Edinburgh this morning, Royal Week underway. The King and Queen will be attending events in the city.
And as temperatures hit new heights this week, a heated debate is unfolded in workplaces across the country. Should you be allowed to wear shorts in the office during the hot weather?
And in sport this morning, well, loads of seeds falling as French Open champion Coco Gauff was knocked out of Wimbledon last night by the world number 42. So it's day 3, second round today. Highlights include Emma Raducanu taking on former Wimbledon champion Marketa Vondrousova. That's this afternoon. And 21-year-old world 766, Oliver Tarvet plays reigning champion Carlos Alcaraz.
Hello there, good morning. A cloudier day ahead for some with some heavy showers, but for others, dry, bright, plenty of sunshine and not feeling quite as warm. Stay tuned and I'll have all the details.
On this Wednesday morning, a very good morning to you from me, Eamonn Holmes.
And me, Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
That shorts situation, we're going to be talking about that. And would there be an objection? You'd be OK with men wearing shorts but not women, or would you be in favour of women wearing shorts?
I think both can wear shorts, yeah. But not short skirts if you're a woman. I think that's different.
The length of the shorts obviously makes a difference.
Yeah.
So if you're a gentleman, you have to be in a fairly longer short, not hot pants, right?
They're very in fashion, the longer shorts, you know.
Yes, OK.
Is that what you'd call a Bermuda short?
Yeah, just above the knee?
Oh, I don't know about that.
OK.
But yeah,
Your shorts
longer.
with those shorts, we haven't got the tennis picture again, have we? Because they were really short shorts. But then it was the fashion.
Yeah, hot pants.
In
the heat, I don't feel the need to declothe during the heat. I think
you don't feel the need to declothe during the heat?
Huh?
Really?
No, I could wear like what I'm wearing now, for instance, in the hot weather or whatever. It wouldn't really annoy me. I could adapt to that.
So on holiday?
Yeah. No, well, on holiday's different. You're on holiday. But you see, holiday sums it up because it's a different mood.
Relax.
Yeah, but if you're in the formality of a working environment...
Yes.
For instance, I think in media is very relaxed. People are very casual in the media world. Therefore, we wouldn't blink here. But if we were all bankers or accountants or whatever, would it be different for us?
That is true.
If
There's
you
lots
went
of people
in to
wearing
see,
shorts here.
if you went in to see, for example, a professional, you went in to see a doctor,
yes,
or a solicitor, or someone very respectable, would you sit there and you saw them in a pair of shorts? You'd be like,
you'd have a shock, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it wouldn't be too.
Yeah, I wouldn't like that.
No, I don't think I'd like that either.
No, no.
What do we think about the banknote story? And talking to the public about what they'd like to see on a banknote?
Well, Paul and I both came up with the same idea there, Paul, and that was...
It's the sycamore cap tree, wasn't it?
Yes.
I think that's a great idea.
The one that those two Egypts cut down.
Yeah.
I think that would be very commemorative. That'd be very good, yeah.
But they have to, as a person, though, I would imagine it's like a blue plaque. You couldn't have someone that's alive, unless the monarch, of course, which is different, on the banknote, could you?
Yeah, you could, yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, you could have Rod Stewart, you could have Jackie Stewart, there's loads
Any
of people.
Stewart.
Any
All
Stewart.
the Stewarts. Andy Stewart. What about Andy Murray would be good. Andy Murray is a sporting one.
Yeah.
There's someone I think would deserve it.
Yeah.
But it's got to be someone that's not offended anybody in any way these days, which is probably no one.
You need a national treasure, like a David Attenborough. What about Diana, Princess of Wales? No? I think that'd be very popular.
Yeah. I got the perfect picture that would be on the banknote.
Oh, get out of it! I thought we were looking at you there.
There we are.
Right, get rid of that. Get rid of that.
On a £10 note.
I've got lots of you getting in touch. Wool says, I would suggest Sir Isaac Newton, Sir Henry Purcell...
Hold on, Isaac Newton's been on one, hasn't he?
I think he might have been.
I'm sure he's been on one.
And Edward Elgar on our banknotes.
Composer, yeah.
Is Elgar English?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, he is English, yeah.
Oh.
Doesn't sound very English.
Clive says, put Douglas Bader on a banknote. He's a man who lost his legs but still managed to fly and lead Spitfire squadrons.
Yeah.
Clive, fantastic.
Was that Reach for the Sky? Was that the film, Reach for the Sky?
Kenneth Moore.
Kenneth Moore, Reach for the Sky.
Played him in the film.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Susan says, I think Larry the Cat should be on a banknote. Let's be honest, he's more popular than anyone who's been in Downing Street for years.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, very good.
Fraser Myers? Have you thought of anybody you'd like to see on a banknote?
I was thinking of someone for when they've passed away. Tim Berners-Lee, who invented the World Wide Web.
Yes.
That's the biggest,
Yeah.
surely the biggest social change of our generation.
That's a good one.
But you wouldn't want it on cash, though. That'd just have to be on the online.
On the digital currency when that comes out.
Cryptocurrencies, yeah.
Have your say. Let us know who you would nominate to be imprinted on a banknote while they still exist. OK? Have your say. Right, the top story today, Keir Starmer's flagship welfare reforms bill. It limped through the House of Commons last night.
But that was only after a last-minute U-turn gutted the bill of some of its key proposals, including plans to tighten the eligibility of personal independent payments, or PIP payments.
Yeah. Well, despite the concessions, 49 Labour MPs voted against, branding the whole process shambolic and unedifying.
I'm angry. This is no way to make legislation. What an absolute mess.
These Dickensian cuts belong to a different era and a different party.
I think that vote will hang like an albatross around their necks.
Well, now questions are being raised over whether the government will increase taxes further, as almost all of the £4.6 billion worth of annual savings the bill was meant to deliver has now been lost.
Fraser Myers. Fraser is the deputy editor of Spiked Online with his take on where we're at the... Well, it's not the end of all of this. There's a long way to go, isn't there?
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. I mean, this is just the first defeat. Well, the government's won, but really it's been defeated.
Yeah.
It's made so many concessions that this bill is now a shadow of its former self. The £5 billion that it set out to save has been entirely wiped away because Keir Starmer has had to make concession after concession. And let's be clear, it is Keir Starmer that is having to do this U-turn. Poor Liz Kendall has been wheeled out. She was the one having to answer questions in the House of Commons last night. Reeves and Starmer weren't there, but this is actually their doing. It's Rachel Reeves who wants to fill her black hole, and Starmer, pushing this through quickly in order to try and make that happen. And then they've had to climb down massively because the plan simply wasn't good enough.
Yeah, there were still 49 rebels who voted against this last night, Labour MPs. What would this have looked like without those last-minute concessions, do you think?
I think we might have been looking at a defeat. I think the government's own numbers were suggesting that around 70 people were willing to rebel before those very last-minute concessions. So that would have been, some point yesterday afternoon, still 70 people wanting to vote against. That, when you get to around 80, you're getting into sort of defeat territory. And, let's remind ourselves, this is a government with an extraordinarily large parliamentary majority. It should be passing votes on key pieces of legislation like this pretty easily, especially when the Prime Minister tells us how essential it is, especially when the Chancellor says it's essential to her economic plans.
If it's so essential, if I've picked you up right, you said he wasn't in the House for the vote last night, nor was Rachel Reeves.
Well, they weren't certainly not during the debate. They weren't fielding any questions. And Kemi Badenoch pointed to that, actually, as pointed to their notable absence.
I think it was quite indicative, wasn't it, of a failure somewhere along the line in party management. Because you had Liz Kendall yesterday totally blindsided. She was saying that there wasn't going to be, we're not going to be ducking away from any reform. And then you saw those concessions about 10 minutes later. And then we had Sir Keir Starmer last week asked about welfare, saying, our party's pretty united on this one, seeming to have no idea of the size of the rebellion that was happening at home.
Well, they are united. They're against him and they're against against these welfare cuts. I think it is pretty extraordinary. I think it should have been something that they should have seen coming. If anything, actually, one of the, what we've learned is that one of the few things that does unite Labour MPs is their concern for the welfare state and welfare claimants. Even in an era when Labour has shed most of its ideological beliefs, this is not a socialist party anymore. We're always constantly scrambling to work out what Keir Starmer actually thinks about anything. But maybe that is the only glue. That's kind of the glue that holds Labour together. Is you kept hearing people saying, I didn't get into politics to cut welfare, which is, on the one hand, it's understandable, but on the other hand, there's an unwillingness to look this problem in the eye of the ballooning welfare bill, which is now set to reach 70 billion by the end of this Parliament, which, to put in context, that is more than we spend on infrastructure, that is more than we spend on defence. And also to deal with the fact that there are so many people languishing on benefits, and the wasted human potential of this is extraordinary. And these are, it tracks perfectly with the towns that are most deprived in the country. Welfare has become a way of masking mass unemployment, frankly. So it is a shame that people don't want to look this problem in the eye. It is a shame that we don't want to resolve this by finding good jobs, but also tweaking the system so that people are not incentivised not to work when they could work. But yeah, Labour has shown itself it's not really interested in making any kind of reform on that front.
And it's also basically eradicated all of the savings that they were hoping to make. So how are they going to plug that hole?
Well, precisely. So there's now only two options left, because let's not forget we had the spending review recently, so many of the departmental spending terms have been already negotiated. So there's either more borrowing, which would go against Rachel Reeves's fiscal rules. That could be changed, but that might spook the markets. Or there's those famous tax rises that the government has continually promised it's not going to make. I think pretty much everyone now anticipates taxes to go up this autumn.
The poll of the day, don't know if there's any results coming in on that. We're asking, has the welfare climb down permanently damaged the Prime Minister? Martin Dobney's show. Stay tuned and he'll have the final result then. So we've no update to give on this at the moment, no? No, not at the moment. OK.
If you want to get involved, though, head to gbnews.com/poll, or you can scan the QR code on your screens now. Just briefly, Fraser, do you think this has permanently damaged the Prime Minister?
I think so. Certainly, I think in the eyes of his backbenchers, because once MPs get a taste for rebelling, they will carry on rebelling. They know they can extract concessions from him. So now we'll probably be looking at, will they get changes to the two-child benefit cap, for instance? Will there be changes to some of the more controversial elements of the planning reforms? I think this is a big, big problem for the government going forward.
OK, Fraser, thank you very much.
Now, the time, 12 minutes past the hour. A damning new report says universities are failing to protect gender-critical academics from harassment. The review warns that a chilling effect has been created where even discussing biological sex can lead to bullying and career damage, with free speech and academic freedom under, quote, sustained attack. Well, in the studio now, we're going to speak to the External Affairs Officer at the Free Speech Union, Connie Shaw. Nice to see you, Connie. Connie, how has this affected you?
Well, I had quite a lot of issues expressing my views about sex and gender at university, but this report will be no surprise to anyone. We have seen how Kathleen Stock was treated. We have seen the extent to which the Office for Students feel as though universities really need to be kicked up the backside to make sure they are protecting academics. So it is of no surprise. And at the Free Speech Union, 18% of our cases, it's our third single biggest category, comes from universities and colleges. Over 20% of our cases in general are related to transgender ideology and pronouns, which is quite astonishing considering that in 2021, Maya Forstater won her case. It was very clear that you cannot discriminate against someone for having these views, and the fact that universities are meant to be places of open discussion and free debate.
Aye, no, we get all that. But are you sure that you're not discriminating against these people?
How would I be discriminated against? Who do you mean by these people?
Well, here we go, we're getting into all this. You see, you touch these areas, and I have to admit, I would be one that I would go, I don't know what to say, I don't want to offend anybody, I've got no particular problem with any of it. What have you got a problem with?
Well, personally, and I don't speak on the Free Speech Union's behalf, but personally I have a problem with men coming into women's spaces and the erasure of women. Yeah,
and I think a lot of people would totally agree with you on that front.
Connie, what was your experience like on campus with gender-critical views? Did you feel as though you experienced bullying or harassment?
I definitely experienced ostracisation. Right. I, at some points, had students trying to encourage other students to report my presence on campus. I had staff members, so, for example, when Maeve Halligan and I set up a stall outside the university trying to open up a discussion with students, I actually had staff members swear at me and encourage students when they ripped down our signs. They clapped, they went inside and helped them counter-protest, which, of course, I guess those academics or staff members are free to do that. But yeah, I definitely felt like there was a strong aversion to me simply for saying that I thought that women were female.
Do you think there is an attack on freedom of speech on campuses in this country?
Well, clearly. I mean, the fact that 18% of our cases at the FSU come from universities, I mean, that's crazy. Like, universities are meant to be the place where free speech, if it exists anywhere, needs to exist on university campuses. But at the moment, you actually have less freedom of speech at times when you step onto a campus than when you're not on one. And that's why the guidance from the Office for Students is extremely important. And luckily, they have taken the recommendation of the FSU that when they talk about protecting free speech, they mean that no legal speech can be restricted, which is a great clarification, because when Sussex University was fined £500,000 over that, the Vice-Chancellor, Sasha Rose-Neal, said that they'd be challenging it, and she also said, but we won't be able to restrict anything but illegal speech. But why would a university want to restrict any legal speech?
Why can't they see two sides of the argument is, I suppose, a big question too. So you were head of daytime at Leeds Student Radio. Were you a broadcaster as well?
No, that's the funny thing. So what I got in trouble for was my own personal work, which was entirely separate from my committee role. I purposely made sure, because I didn't want to put them in an uncomfortable situation. I knew they wouldn't be happy with broadcasting my views from their platform. So my podcast was entirely independent. My Substack was entirely independent. My Twitter account, entirely independent. But they said that because you could trace it back to my committee role, that therefore I was putting other members of the society at risk.
Now, it's very interesting that you are fighting back against this and you're standing your ground and you're saying your thing, because surely the easier option is to sort of say, oh, I'll keep my head down, I'll not get involved in this, I'll not take all this flack that's coming my way.
Of course, yeah, but the real issue here in this story is about academics, and they are the ones that should be able to... They're not even necessarily people who are trying to push a certain view. They just want to be able to teach it. Kathleen Stock, she had to modify her course because of the way that the policies at Sussex were organised. She felt that she needed to change the way that she was teaching. She's a very, very reasonable and balanced person. So this is about academics, just being able to have the conversation. I mean, Jo Phoenix, who was unfairly dismissed from the Open University, she literally just suggested something. She wasn't even trying to... But it was just a very sort of general sort of concern, and that was enough for other activist academics to campaign against her. You don't have to push a certain view, you literally just have to say, oh, maybe we should discuss this, and academics can't even do that anymore.
But has the Supreme Court ruling recently, which ruled that women refers to biological women and sex means biological sex, has that, or do you hope it will make things easier for gender-critical people on campuses?
I mean, you'd hope it would, but unfortunately many universities are doing all they can to ignore the ruling. So at Leeds, for example, despite the highest court in the land ruling very clearly what should be happening now when it comes to single-sex spaces, the University of Leeds has said that they won't change their policies unless there is a legal obligation to do so. Their policies at the moment say that anyone can choose which facility they go into, depending on which way they identify, which is unlawful.
Now, this argument that you have at the moment on highlighting all of this, what do you wish to be? What will you end up as career-wise? What are you hoping to do in life?
I'm not sure, but at the moment my focus is campaigning for free speech, particularly everywhere, but universities...
And you would worry, no matter what you became in life, you became a citizen, you became an accountant, whatever, that you would worry that, again, in that life, you could be persecuted for having a view in those fields?
Well, we know that that's the case. Look at the Darlington nurses. Well, I was about to say they're just nurses, which is... they're nurses, they're working in our NHS, and they have been persecuted for simply saying that they do not want a man in their changing room. It happens absolutely everywhere.
What do you want to see change, Connie?
I want students to be able to, particularly in relation to this story, I want students to learn how to deal with views that make them feel uncomfortable. And Arif Ahmed, who's the free speech czar, has said that will be hopefully the case at universities, that students should be taught how to deal with being offended. And there are students who, and I've had students say this to me, they do think that they shouldn't have to come across ideas that make them feel uncomfortable.
Let's see what Leeds University has to say on all of this. They say inclusivity is one of our core values, helping to ensure that everyone can enjoy the university experience free from discrimination.
Well, that's funny, because I felt quite discriminated. They talk about inclusivity, but as long as that inclusivity only depends if you comply with certain views.
Yes, I see what you're saying.
And part of my appeal was the fact that I think I was being discriminated against on a protected characteristic, which obviously contravenes the Equality Act. OK, well, that's Connie Shaw, and that's what she's talking about and campaigning about in the protection of academics at universities. Please do have your say. Get in touch with us today. Do you agree with what Connie's saying? Do you not agree? What would you like to say on the subject? Connie, thank you very much indeed for being so articulate and open about what you believe in. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Connie. Now let's get a check on the weather at 7:20 with Honor.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It could be a cloudier day for some, with some showery outbreaks. These could turn heavy, possibly even thundery in many parts, but for many it is going to be feeling a lot cooler than it has done over the last few days. But nevertheless, quite a cloudy start, particularly across eastern and southeastern parts. This is cloud thick enough to produce some showers at times, and these showers could be particularly heavy across eastern parts of Scotland, northeastern England. Could hear the odd rumble of thunder, and possibly some heavy showers creeping into the southeast at times too. But for many it should be a largely dry and bright day. Still warm in the sunshine, with highs reaching around 26 degrees Celsius, but it's going to feel much fresher, not quite as humid as it has done over the last few days. Then to finish off the day across Scotland, largely dry and bright to the west, but most of the showers creeping into eastern areas where once again 1 or 2 could be heavy, if not quite blustery, and fairly similar across Northern Ireland, northern parts of England, mostly dry, though we can't rule out some showers, but definitely fewer showers across northeastern England compared to much of the day. And elsewhere across England and Wales, it should be mostly dry and a clear end to the evening, a breeze starting to pick up, which should offset the heat as well. But for many, as we head through the overnight period, it is going to feel much fresher, not quite as muggy and as uncomfortable. And for many, it should remain largely dry. That's away from the northwest, though. Cloud creeping in here and also some showers by the time we reach the early hours of the morning. But this time, lows reaching the high single figures, so definitely not going to feel quite as warm to start on Thursday compared to what we've had over recent days. Now for many on Thursday, largely dry and bright, plenty of blue skies, particularly across the south and southeast, but once again across the northwest, more cloud pushing in here, some quite blustery showers, and once again 1 or 2 of these could turn rather heavy. So feeling a little fresher under cloudier skies, but once again warm and any sunshine, particularly across central parts and across the south. Bye-bye.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
And at 23 minutes past 7, it is a great time to talk about the Great British Giveaway.
Yeah, it's pretty good, isn't it? £54,321 in tax-free cash. It's all up for grabs. It could be yours. Here's how.
The Great British Giveaway is now even greater, with your chance to win our biggest cash prize so far. A totally tax-free £54,321 cash could be yours. Cash that you could spend however you like. It's like having an extra £1,000 each week for a whole year to play with. Imagine what you could do with that. Someone is guaranteed to win this amazing amount of cash, so make sure that someone could be you. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Up next on the programme this morning, the hot weather has created all sorts of dilemmas, including...
Can you wear shorts in the office during hot weather? We're going to be debating that next.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Breakfast. It's 7:28. Now, when it comes to office wear in the UK, it is often hard to go wrong due to the consistently poor weather, isn't it? You just need to wrap up.
But the weather's got much better recently, 2 heat waves, and officers are being hit with the same question. Is it OK to wear your shorts to work? Obviously not. But we're going to debate that now with etiquette expert Liz Brewer and Diana Mather, who are both here in the studio. And Liz, surprisingly, I thought you would be against this, but no, you're all in favour.
No, Eamonn, what I'm saying is it really depends on circumstance. You know, I've spent a lot of time, having been married to an Australian for 10 years, in Australia, in Sydney, and there is extreme weather, and yet the men go to the office and they wear tailored shorts to about 2 or 3 inches above the knee, long socks, which is a necessity because, of course, the perspiration needs to be soaked up, and proper shoes. What I'm saying here is when we have extreme heat, and we're having that more and more, what we need to do is, first of all, decide, am I front of house? Am I representing my company? What should I, using my common sense, what should I be wearing? And adhere to that. And if in doubt, speak to the powers that be. But you can't turn up wearing what would be swimming trunks or something which is totally inappropriate. You've got to use your common sense. You know something, Eamonn, years ago, when we first had television, the newsreaders used to be properly dressed from waist up. And then I know that they were wearing sort of inappropriate trousers.
Yeah, there's a few people in this office who do that as well. I'll let you in on a secret there, Liz. Diana, what do you make of this?
Well, I agree to a certain sense with Liz, because in the 60s, in America, in New York, I remember I was really quite surprised when they had very tailored tweed suits with shorts. They were short trousers, ended just above the knee, but again, had the socks. So it does depend on the legs and the shorts. But really, if you want to be professional, you should dress professionally. And if your normal office wear is a suit, then in my I think you should wear a suit.
But is Liz's proposal, she's talking about tailored, about long socks, tailored shorts. I mean, that sounds relative. I'm not in favour of it in general, but actually I'm listening to what Liz is having to say and I'm thinking, oh yes, that sounds very smart, actually.
Well, it is a uniform then. I mean, it is proper dress then.
Yeah.
But I think it just to come in any old shorts. And also, most offices are air-conditioned now. So you could come in your shorts and then change into your trousers, keep them at the office.
I suppose the important thing, Liz, is that it still looks smart.
Exactly. And, you know, when you're doing a job of work, your self-esteem comes into focus. And I remember during lockdowns, you know, and I did a lot of Zooms, etc. I still got up, hair and makeup, dressed every day. And because when you do that, you're putting on really another coat of professionalism. And that helps when you're doing a job because you're putting yourself in that mode. And it's terribly important. And anyway, I think we actually agree. But I mean, what I object to is, say, a girl coming to an office in what is more or less a bralette, or coming with sort of flouncy shorts which swing around. You know, you've got to dress appropriately. And that, as I say, depends on what you're doing. If you're downstairs, you know, packing, even then, to have a set, you need to have a proper sense of duty and your own self-esteem. You catch sight of yourself in the mirror. You want to feel good. And when you're feeling, well, I look okay, you're going to do a better job. That's what I've always thought.
And it's company policy too. If your company policy is to dress professionally, then you do that. If you don't like that, then you work for a different organisation. You know.
Well, it depends. I mean, sometimes it's not even down to company policy. It's down to you and your own common sense and how you're feeling. I mean, I prefer to sort of look in the mirror and think, good, I think I look good today, rather than scruffily and thinking, well, nobody's going to see me, but I'm going to see me. And, you know, we all have a bit of vanity. So, I mean, I'm all for that.
I do agree with you there, Liz.
I'd like to see you in your shorts.
Well, I'm sure Ellie's got the most wonderful legs. I'm not so sure about Eamonn because I haven't ever seen his.
They're gorgeous, they're gorgeous. Yeah. Ladies, well, thank you both very much indeed with that. I personally, Diana, I'm a great believer in uniforms in general, and I think this country, where one of the things that we're doing wrongly is dispensing with uniforms in banks and things like that. And I think a lot of employees will actually welcome them because it gives them a default setting where to go to. You can have a summer uniform, you can have a winter uniform, somewhere in between or whatever.
And you don't have to think every morning when you get up, what am I going to wear today?
Yeah. You go to a country like Dubai and everybody's got uniforms in the airports right through. And everybody looks really smart, really well. And then they can dress for casual life as well.
Yeah, they're proud. They're proud of how they look.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
They're respecting themselves. I think it's really quite important. But fashion goes in cycles. You know, we've gone through the grunge look, and then now we're sort of going through, okay, I'm too hot look. But it goes in cycles and normally spirals.
Okay.
So,
but as you say, it's all down to one's own self-respect.
Yeah, fly the flag, keep the standards high. Thank you both very much indeed. Appreciate your contributions. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you. Now, do stay with us. Coming up, we're hoping Paul Coity has found us some strawberries so we can get all the Wimbledon gossip as well. That's in a few minutes.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A470 is closed near Beat to the USY Coed with diversions. In Durham, a collision on the A1M southbound at junction 61 has closed all lanes, causing significant disruption, with clearance anticipated around 7:45. The M60 clockwise between junction 26 and 1 has an incident involving multiple cars, resulting in 1-hour delays. In Northamptonshire, a broken-down vehicle on the M1 southbound between junctions 19 and 18 has closed one lane. And on the trains, the Gatwick Express is out of service with disruption between Stoke-on-Trent and Macclesfield. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
He's secured the goods.
Well, you know what? You do what you can, you know, and still a run out in the middle.
Why aren't they being served up? This is your strawberries are in a packet. In a packet.
What do you want, a basket?
Well, you could have put them in a bowl.
What do you want, a milkmaid to bring it for you and feed it into your mouth while you're sitting there?
Come on, serve us up. Strawberries and
I've got a
cream.
good idea where to put this strawberry, Eamonn Holmes. Now, are you going to tell me off then for shaking them in?
Yeah, probably.
No,
are you going to manhandle them?
I am going to manhandle them.
I think there's a bit of shrinkflation there, Paul, as well.
What's that?
It's sort of half empty, that.
It is half empty. The moment I walked in, though, Ellie has gone, oh, so just one punnet then?
Just one punnet between three?
I don't know why.
I thought you were going to be super generous and do us a big bowl of strawberries each.
But the good news is that I do have double cream.
Oh, well, that's good.
How many do you want?
I do a good 4 each, I'd say. And can I have some
I'm
sugar
afraid
on mine,
4
please?
each is not possible. I don't have enough.
Not quite enough to stretch
There
that
we are.
far.
Look, there's
That's
plenty.
lovely, Paul. Well done.
There you go. That's
Thanks,
quite
Boydie,
nice, isn't
very
it?
nice.
That's quite nice now.
Would you like me a little pot of cream?
Yeah.
Do you remember the Galloping Gourmet, Graham Kerr? Do you
Yeah.
remember? And he would sit there and he would taste it and he'd look in the camera and he'd go, just do that. And then he would get someone out from the audience to taste it with him. Maybe I could do that. Oh, we don't know.
Was he Canadian or something, was he?
He was from New Zealand. But it was for Canadian TV, I believe. There we are.
Oh,
Look
wow,
at
you're
that.
generous with your
That's
cream.
nice. By the way, this is the sports news. So
None on
please
mine,
bear
none on
with
mine,
me.
none on mine.
None on yours?
You know I can't have cream.
Oh, dear.
I'm lactose intolerant.
Anyway, that's the end of that. That's the end.
I said to you.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, you've covered them now. You've ruined it.
Right, OK. Well, Eamonn, you can have 2 of those. I'll go back out to the shops.
Are there any
for
dry
8:30.
strawberries that I can
Can I have the sugar?
You have the sugar. Ellie, I'm so sorry.
Oh, Coity.
OK, let's look. So bad now. I really do feel bad.
Dairy intolerance.
Yeah. I'll have a very upset tummy if I have any cream. And Coity does know this. But he sabotaged me and my strawberries. It's because I was nagging you, wasn't it? You don't like it now.
I feel bad. Wimbledon. Let's talk about Wimbledon while you don't eat anything.
I tap into Ellie's strawberries.
Actually, Ellie, would you mind doing the stories while I just eat the strawberries?
Actually, I'll tell you what's going on, actually.
Yeah.
So, a bit of a shocker yesterday. Coco Gauff.
Yeah.
She said she's got to make changes because she was knocked out in the first round.
She
It was a real shock.
She got pretty upset.
Paul, very nice.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I'm glad you two enjoyed it.
Let's, while I eat these strawberries, let's hear from Coco Gauff, looking a bit upset, shall we?
I'm sure my team and everyone's going to tell me, like, you know, you did well at Rolling Girls, don't, like, be so upset and things like that. But I don't really like losing. And I don't know, I just feel a little bit disappointed in how I showed up today. I feel like I could have been a little bit better. And those tough, like, tiebreaker moments, especially after Rolling Girls, where I feel like I learned a lot in those tiebreakers. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to dwell on this too long because I want to do well at US Open. And, you know, maybe losing here first round, thanks, isn't the worst thing in the world because I have some time to, like, reset. But, yeah, it's definitely sucks.
See, I'm trying to work that out. She won the French Open. She's very successful. She's done very well, but she would in tears and all that.
Would you say, is it ungenerous of me to say she's a sore loser?
I don't think it is ungenerous, but I think everybody is. I think all professionals are sore losers. Diana Yastremska, she lost to 7-6, 6-1. Really didn't play well. Emma Raducanu plays today. Please don't just leave that box alone because it makes me feel even more guilty than I do
Looking
already.
at my empty box.
Emma Raducanu. Now, this is going to be very tricky for Emma. She's playing Marketa Vondrousova, who was the champion 2 years ago.
Oh.
And should she actually manage to beat her, which I don't believe is going to happen. Obviously, we're hoping... I'm sorry, but I hope it's going to happen. But it's going to be tricky. She would then... There's a good chance she's going to play Arena...
Cream's lovely as well.
Oh, yeah. I can tell.
He's having a lovely time. Yeah, you can have mine as well.
Arena Sabalenka, she would then have in the third round. So the chances of a Wimbledon final for Emma Raducanu. Oliver Tarbet, by the way, he's the youngster. I say youngster, he's 21. So he's the world 766, 99... There's another bowl there, Eamonn, if you want those. World 766, £99,000 he should have earned for getting to the second round, but obviously can't have it because we've spoken about that, because he is playing on the college circuit, only allowed £10,000. But he is now playing the Wimbledon champion Carlos Alcaraz today.
Well, that's a bit mean.
But what a great experience, though, for him.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful experience.
I think so. Almost.
I've never had strawberries on telly before. It's a beautiful experience.
See if you notice the difference between our personalities. I feel really bad.
You should feel bad.
Eamonn's wallowing in the whole thing.
Eamon's got a second bowl of strawberries.
And you would pay £2.70 for this at Wimbledon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair, though, isn't it?
Up from £2.50. I mean, you spent double that in the supermarket.
You know what? I'm sure I spent more than that for that.
How much is there a price on
I think this is about £4, isn't it? For a punnet of strawberries, it's about £4.
Ellie, you were going to give me the money for this, weren't you? But now... No,
I'm not giving you anything now, Coity. Not until you provide me with some strawberries.
Katie Bolter today plays Solana Sierra. Now, do you remember that name from yesterday?
Yes.
Solana Sierra is the one who was the lucky loser that actually had to wait around for the first round. The chances are, because she was knocked out of the qualifying and then she just went along to Wimbledon on the off chance that maybe someone would be injured and then she'd be allowed to play.
Yep.
So she did that.
She got the call
15 minutes, she got the call. Listen, you're on, ran onto court and she wins her first round and now she's playing Katie Bolter in the second round. So well done for Solana.
Thank you.
So that's good. And
well, gotta love you and leave you.
The queue, by the way, 4,500 at 5:30, and it is now up to 7,000 people queuing at Wimbledon to get in. Thank you very much. I'm done, and I'm going to enjoy the rest of the strawberries and get you some more.
Thank you
very much indeed. Back with the papers, back with Norman and Claire right after this.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The European heatwave is set to continue, many areas seeing temperatures widely in the mid to high 30s, and this could be enough to trigger some thunderstorms across the Alps. But across Portugal, Spain, mostly settled, but still those intense temperatures starting to drop away from Thursday onwards. Some quite heavy showers across parts of Switzerland. These could bring some intense hail and also some frequent lightning. But as we move our way eastwards across the Mediterranean, mostly settled, plenty of sunshine and temperatures widely still in the mid to high 30s.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain's Newsroom, weekday mornings from 9:30.
An amber heat alert remains in place across all of England until Monday morning.
Well, joining us now, GB News reporter Jack Carson. Jack Carson, where are you? Tell us. Oh, he's rowing. Jack Carson, what a go on?
Good morning. Good morning. Well, we're in the beautiful Stratford-upon-Avon, so we were on the big wheel earlier on, and one of the other beautiful things you can do is also row on the river as well. This is the Avon Boating Club. This has been going since the 1800s, 1898 it started. This boat over here on the right, that was bought brand new all the way back in the day, so it's historic here, and a lot of these boats are from the likes of the 1930s as well, and it's just absolutely beautiful. And it's this beautiful sunny weather. Here we are on the river. I've never rowed in my life before, but I think I've got the hang of it okay. But let's have a listen to a few of the people we've spoken to this morning about how they're enjoying the weather today.
Yesterday, I did start to think, right, I'm getting a bit sweaty and hot now, so yeah, but it's nice, isn't it? As long as there's a breeze, it's not too bad.
Can't beat it. Literally the best thing ever. Yay!
They make the most of it because the winter was terrible this year with all the rain, so this is payback.
It makes us feel better, doesn't it? Bit of sun on our bones. It really does.
Enjoying the weather, Will? Nice? Sunny? Chatty? Well, there you go. That's what some people have been saying to us this morning about how they're enjoying the weather. I think I've got myself into a bit of a pickle. Hopefully we're not going to capsize. I think other people might be a bit more experienced in the rowing.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Claire and Norman are with us today, and they're taking part in one of the debates we've just had on the programme, which has been getting you having your say at home with all of this, and that is, Ellie, about baring knees and wearing shorts.
Yeah, I've got loads of views coming in on this one. John says, I wear shorts for work every day, even through the winter. Oh, you're one of those,
Is he a
John?
postman?
Postman.
Are you a postman, John? Are you a postman? Let us know. It's no problem, he says. And Norfolk says shorts are office summer dress code permits knee-length tailored shorts, although some gents have a very interesting interpretation of where their knees are. Very good.
OK, well, what do we think about this, Claire?
I think it's awful. I think men should not wear shorts in the office. I think it's absolutely deplorable.
I just don't see there's any need.
Well, it's lovely to see you in your tie. You always look so dapper and so smart, like when you're on camera.
I wouldn't feel any cooler if I was wearing a pair of shorts. You know what I mean?
Exactly. But notwithstanding that, not a lot of people would see them because you're behind a desk.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think it diminishes work. It diminishes the integrity of the work done. It's that if you look at someone in shorts, a man in shorts, like, it says to me, you don't really care, you're not taking your job seriously, so therefore I would look to holes in the work done, because it's all about personal appearance. They've got rid of ties in offices now. You don't need to wear a shirt on Fridays, it's dress down Fridays. I say, dress up Fridays, bring in the attire, bring in the discipline, and stop giving children polo shirts to wear in school. Shirt, tie, end of, and no shorts.
Well, my tailor tells me the one thing he can't sell is ties. No one wants to buy ties anymore.
Such a shame.
That's a shame. I've got a drawer full of ties. I wear ties, but not.
Well, why not today? Yes,
well, because
Norman.
it's summer. But I'm not wearing shorts, I have to say.
But you're working. You're on camera.
I know, but that's okay. I'm wearing a suit. I'm wearing a linen suit and
right.
a shirt.
Okay. Well, I wouldn't say so.
But I'm not wearing shorts.
Would you say, though, we've let Norman standards slip when we're talking about wearing shorts?
You know, I do think there's a place where you shouldn't go, and I think the idea, for example, in the House of Commons of having MPs wearing shorts would look a bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
Keir Starmer in shorts would look a bit mad with the dispatch box. So I think there are certain places
well, we're all agreed on that.
I don't like seeing trainers on...
No, I agree with that as well.
Really don't like that at all. Just wear smart shoes.
OK, you're not going to see... no, you are going to see alcohol ads on late-night telly. Norman, tell us about this. The Sun's reporting on this today.
This is another U-turn from the government. The government was going to have a ban on alcohol advertising between 5:30 and 9, so it's sort of odd time, on television in order to discourage drinking, and is now retired from that, and the ban is no longer going to be introduced.
Well, they would have retired from that, I presume, because they face pressure from the TV companies.
And the alcohol industry as well, which is quite powerful. It's worth noting, and I know this is my time in the Home Office, that the cost of alcohol abuse to society each year is £27 billion. A lot of that comes from the health service, but there's also crime associated with it.
Yeah.
The income from the alcohol, from sales, for the Treasury is £13 billion. So there's a net deficit of £14 billion a year from alcohol sales.
Scotland, as you know,
minimum unit pricing.
Minimum unit pricing has done nothing.
Done nothing, really?
Absolutely nothing. You also can't get, like we can in England, 25% off you buy 6 bottles. There are no deals that you can get to purchase your alcohol.
But it doesn't stop people.
It doesn't stop people from abusing alcohol. If people are addicted, they will get it. They will find it somewhere. And they will get their addiction sorted.
I remember going to a clinic when I was Home Office Minister, responsible for this area, in Kensington, I think it was, to look at drug abuse. And I expected to find a whole lot of heroin addicts. Actually, the people there, the professionals, told me the biggest problem is alcohol. People can get off heroin easier than get off alcohol.
Yeah. Wow.
But, Norman, as you will know, I mean, we in the media here, we'll not talk about drugs, or we'll not socialise about those, whatever. But when it comes to alcohol, it'll be, oh, sure, we'll have a drink and everything's a drink. And it's always fine to say good things about alcohol.
And this as well, Starmer drops a ban on alcohol adverts. The Telegraph says it's to keep the US trade deal alive.
That might be true as well.
I think it is true, you know. And I agree with you, Eamonn. 5:30 to 9:30 seems a really odd time to actually advertise alcohol. You've got kids coming home from school then. You're not allowed to see any junk food advertising in any TfL departments or anything. So it seems a bit odd. It really does. But the drinks industries are are welcoming this U-turn.
They're very powerful. I remember that Theresa May and I got overridden by Cameron, who'd been lobbied by the drinks industry on a couple of things when we were in government. Very powerful indeed. Society has changed. I mean, go back 30, 40 years. It was one for the road, wasn't it? When you were driving, one for the road. That's what the phrase was in pubs. And nowadays, it's completely unacceptable to have drink driving. So we are moving forward.
Well, we covered a story on that last week, actually, and it turns out that the drink driving laws, although remain the same, the statistics have gone down only because people are not being tested the day after, the morning after, the evening of. Dangerous times as well.
Right, guys. Well, thank you very much indeed for that. That's our time gone in this slot. The guys will be back again in about 40 minutes' time.
Just one more on shorts. Freddie says, nothing says I'm not a professional like wearing shorts in the office, especially when you don't have the legs for it.
Freddie, you're a star.
Yeah, well, keep your views coming in. Thank you, you two. Let's get a check on the weather.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It could be a cloudier day for some with some showery outbreaks. These could turn heavy, possibly even thundery in many parts, but for many it is going to be feeling a lot cooler than it has done over the last few days. But nevertheless, quite a cloudy start, particularly across eastern and southeastern parts. This cloud thick enough to produce some showers at times, and these showers could be particularly heavy across eastern parts of Scotland, northeastern England. Could hear the odd rumble of thunder and possibly some heavy showers creeping into the southeast at times too, but for many it should be a largely dry and bright day. Still warm in the sunshine with highs reaching around 26 degrees Celsius, but it's going to feel much fresher, not quite as humid as it has done over the last few days. Then to finish off the day across Scotland, largely dry and bright to the west, that most of the showers creeping into eastern areas where once again one or two could be heavy if not quite blustery, and fairly similar across Northern Ireland, northern parts of England, mostly dry, though we can't rule out some showers, but definitely fewer showers across northeastern England compared to much of the day, and elsewhere across England and Wales it should be mostly dry and a clear end to the evening, a breeze starting to pick up which should offset the heat as well. But for many, as we head through the overnight period, it is going to feel much fresher, not quite as muggy and as uncomfortable, and for many it should remain largely dry. That's away from the northwest though, cloud creeping in here and also some showers by the time we reach the early hours of the morning, but this time lows reaching the high single figures, so definitely not going to feel quite as warm to start on Thursday compared to what we've had over recent days. Now for many on Thursday, largely dry and bright, plenty of blue skies, particularly across the south and southeast, but once again across the northwest, more cloud pushing in here, some quite blustery showers, and once again one or two of these could turn rather heavy. So feeling a little fresher under cloudier skies, but once again warm and any sunshine, particularly across central parts and across the south. Bye-bye.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Significant maintenance on the A470 near BTC Coed closes both directions. Diversions are in place as crews manage the situation. In Stockport, an incident on the M60 clockwise between junction 26 and junction 1 causes a 1.5-hour delay with one lane open. Southbound, Durham's A1M halts at junction 61 due to a collision. The eastbound A50 experiences heavy traffic between the A522 and the A518. Don't forget to check for delays in Greater London on the M25. And on the trains, the Gatwick Express has no service today. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Imagine having an extra £1,000 to spend each week for an entire year. £54,321 in tax-free cash could be yours. Cash to spend however you like. £54,321 in cash could be landing in your bank account this year. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
This is Britain's newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. A humiliating climb down for the Prime Minister as his flagship welfare bill has descended into chaos.
Well, a late concession to Labour rebels wipes out most of the £4.6 billion worth of savings that Sir Keir Starmer had pledged to deliver.
49 Labour MPs defied their own party. Question is, has the PM now lost control?
A hollow victory for number 10. Absolute chaos in the Commons last night. How on earth is this all going to be paid for?
A shocking new report finds universities did not protect gender-critical academics from harassment.
To put Doge on Elon, you know what Doge is? Doge is the monster that might have to go back and eat Elon. Wouldn't that be terrible?
Donald Trump threatens to set the Department of Government Efficiency on Elon Musk as the pair feud again over the president's budget plans.
Royal Week is underway in Scotland, with the King and Queen attending events in Edinburgh.
And as temperatures
Yes, and the King and Queen spent the night at the Palace of Holyrood House. Behind me, their official residence in Scotland's capital city. Find out what they're up to shortly.
Well, it looked a bit cloudy there, but temperatures have hit new heights so far this week. A heated debate is unfolding in workplaces across the country. Should you be allowed to wear shorts?
Vest is OK, though, right? Vest is all right. In sport this morning, lots of seeds falling as French Open champion Coco Gauff was knocked out of Wimbledon last night by the world number 42. So day 3, second round today, highlights including Emma Raducanu. She takes on former Wimbledon champion Marketa Vondrousova this afternoon, and 21-year-old world 766 Oliver Tarvet playing reigning champion Carlos Alcaraz. Good luck with that.
Hello there, good morning. A cloudier day ahead for some with some heavy showers, but for others, dry, bright, plenty of sunshine and not feeling quite as warm. Stay tuned and I'll have all the details.
Well, I was going to say Paul's been out to the shops. Show them what you got in the shops.
Yay!
Yeah.
And I've got some cream for Ellie.
Yeah, but we can't really go into that because we've got to talk to what?
Should we say our names in the time?
Oh, it doesn't really matter. Anyway, I'm Eamonn, she's Ellie. This is GB Breakfast News. Now, what we're going to do is cross live to Westminster. We're going to speak to the Shadow Financial Secretary. We say hello, good morning, and welcome to Gareth Davis. Now, Gareth, you're the shadow man. You're not the main man. But this bill last night, Gareth, have you been able to calculate just how much money the government is going to take in from this bill if it passes, or indeed what they've lost out on?
Good morning. Yes, ironically, I think this could actually end up costing the government more because in the bill last night, there was a series of provisions that would have saved about £5 billion, which is a positive step to reducing the overall welfare budget, which is needed. But it also actually uprated the standard rate of universal credit. And so what they've done is now U-turned on the revenue raises and kept the increase in UC. And so the punchline is that actually, ironically, the bill may cost the Exchequer more money. What this means is that Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, now has to find an additional £3 to £7 billion if you look at the winter fuel U-turn, the U-turns last night, and there's a raging debate in the Labour Party at the moment about the 2-child cap. And so if you add all that up, it's about £7 billion she's going to have to find. We're clear that this is probably going to come from additional taxation in the autumn, and we're trying to warn the public about that right now.
You've been vocal, haven't you, as a party about the welfare system needing reform. You want to see the welfare bill cut. You've been very vocal about that. Why then did you vote against it last night?
It's a perfectly reasonable question. The reason is that it wouldn't reduce the overall welfare budget. It wouldn't help people, bring people into work. And as a result, it would mean, as I said earlier, higher taxes. So we believe they need to go way further. Just to put this into context, since the pandemic, health and disability benefits have completely ballooned. And the OBR are now saying that it's going to cost about £100 billion by 2030 just in health and disability benefits alone. That means that for £1 in every £4 collected through income tax, that's going to go to health and disability benefits. So we think you do need to change the criteria, make sure that you are stopping people from going into the welfare system unnecessarily, and once they're in the welfare system, that you're continually assessing their ability to work. It's basically a mind shift change from looking at what people can't do and looking more at what people can do, because in many instances, being in the workforce, going back to work, could be beneficial for their health, their mental health in particular, and obviously for the economy.
There may well be a very good reason that the cost of all of this has ballooned, and that is because people need it. It's all right for us saying it's ballooned and we shouldn't be paying it, but maybe these people deserve it.
So absolutely, there are people in society with disabilities and health conditions which do preclude their ability to work, and absolutely we need a welfare system that supports them either to work or to because they can't work, and that's not what we're talking about here. What I'm talking about is, for example, the way in which people enter the welfare system. At the moment we have a system where people go to a GP with a condition, and the GP 94% of the time will sign them off for work. And what we're saying is that we should reform that system to ensure that specialists assess what people can do, not just what they can't do. And that would mean that 94% of people don't just get signed off from work. And then once they're on benefits, there's a thing called work capability assessment, which again, by specialists, they're assessing whether people can or cannot work. And we think that system needs reform. We had plans in place to reform it, but unfortunately Labour have scrapped that. So we're not saying that some people don't need benefits. Of course they do, but there's a lot who would benefit from going back into work, and we want to see that happen.
There's a report out this morning from University College London which has found that universities have failed to protect academics who hold gender-critical views from harassment. What do you make of that report, and do you think that there is a free speech issue on campuses in this country?
So unfortunately, I've not seen that report, but what I can tell you is that our university campuses need to be places where you have freedom of expression. And I think historically there are cases and institutions where we can point to where that hasn't been the case. We've had guest speakers cancelled and people feeling like there's hostility towards them because of the views that they hold. We are a free society, a free country, where you have the ability to express your opinion. And if that means that you don't agree with opinions, that's fine, but they shouldn't be precluded from expressing them.
Gareth, just before we say goodbye to you, Keir Starmer, has he lost control of his party?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, he's got a supermajority. He's got, I think, the largest majority in history, or one of the largest majorities in history. And yet last night he had to essentially pull the bill. He changed it 2 or 3 times in the course of the day, including during the debate. I mean, just play clips of what Labour Party MPs have said. They now know that he will U-turn. Any pressure that will come down the track, he's going to U-turn. There's a lot of debate in the Labour Party now about the 2-child benefit cap. That's, by the way, a potential £3.5 billion spending commitment. We know his Labour MPs want that. I absolutely think he's going to cave on that too. So I have no confidence that he's going to maintain this power.
Gareth, appreciate talking to you. Gareth Davis, you are the Shadow Financial Secretary. Thank you for your time this morning. Appreciate it. Thank you. In the studio, thank you. Our political correspondent, Catherine Forster, on this one. So Gareth Davis talking there about the lack of control that Keir Starmer has over his party. Is he right in saying that the MPs will now know that he will U-turn?
Yes, he is, bluntly. I mean, the government won this vote last night, but it doesn't feel like a victory because basically that bill was gutted. The £5 billion that they were going to save has gone. In fact, ultimately, it might even cost them money. And the Prime Minister has spent weeks saying that this is a moral necessity to reform welfare, and the Treasury believe it's an economic necessity too. Now, it's just incredible because the PM will be celebrating, in inverted commas, a year in office on Saturday, and here we are, multiple U-turns. I'm actually struggling to keep track of how many of them, but, one on this Thursday night last week. They thought that would be enough. And then at 5:30 yesterday, fearing, actually, that they could lose this vote, they had to give even more ground. So there's very little left of this bill. And what it has taught Labour MPs, there's so many of them that if enough of them band together, they can't take the whip from them, or they can't take the whip of 50, 60 MPs. They can basically do what they like without consequence. Now, it's really hard, as Liz Kendall, the Work and Pensions Minister, said, to reform welfare. The Conservatives found that too, and they didn't do a fat lot on it, let's face it. And especially for Labour, it's not in Labour MPs' DNA to do things that are going to hurt the most vulnerable. But, you know, this is all going to have to be paid for. Rachel Reeves was already in a very difficult position. She's now going to have to find $5 billion more. And yes, I think highly likely that the tax is going to have to go up to pay for it.
We still saw 49 rebels come out and vote this down yesterday. What do you think would have happened realistically if it hadn't have been watered down again at the very last moment?
Well, the government was seriously worrying that they could have lost it, which would have been catastrophic. We don't ultimately know. We don't ultimately know, but they weren't going to take the chance. But you see, these MPs, there's so many of them, the government can't really threaten them with taking the whip off dozens of them, nor can they promise them all government jobs. That most of these people are never going to get into the cabinet. And also, they see the polls, they see how awful the poll ratings are for Labour, and they think, I'm only going to be here for one term, so I might as well do what I think is morally right, the best thing I can for my constituents, and just try to hold on maybe in my seat. But of course, as Meg Hillier, the woman that started the whole rebellion a week or so ago, says, the public don't like divided parties. You know, that's one of the reasons why the Tories were booted out. And now they look at Labour less than a year in, and we have a repeat of chaos, really.
It's extraordinary, isn't it? Because it feels like a government much older in just 1 year. They seem bruised, battered.
They really do. They really do. And look, it was always going to be hard for them. Whoever got into power, there wasn't much money around. Difficult decisions were always going to have to be made. But there's been a lot of errors, hasn't there? I mean, going back to the first thing they announced was cutting winter fuel allowance from pensioners. And with these welfare cuts, there is definitely a case welfare, it's unaffordable, it needs to be reformed, but the government needed to present it as, we're doing this because this is best for people, we will help them back into work, whereas it was presented very much as, we need to save some billions and this is how we're going to do it.
Thanks, Catherine. Appreciate it. We'll leave that there. We'll bring you an update, the latest on our poll of the day, where we're asking, has the welfare climb down permanently damaged Keir Starmer? So far, 98% of you are saying yes, definitely it has. 2% on a no on that one. You scan the QR code there and that will give you a vote, which we will announce this afternoon on Martin Dobney's show. But 98% say Keir Starmer damaged by this one.
Yep, keep those votes coming in. Now, a football club's desire to replace the pothole-ridden road on the way to the club's ground will go ahead after backing from no other than Prince William himself.
Yeah, well, appropriately named Mousehole AFC, previously failed to reach the six-figure sum needed to build a new access road. The Prince of Wales saw the newspaper story and he said it was a privilege to help them out.
Well, we're now joined by the project lead, Simon Taylor. Simon, this is incredible, isn't it?
Unbelievable. I think everybody at the club, including myself, is still pinching ourselves.
Wow. So what happened? So did you get a letter from the Prince saying, I'm going to come up with the cash for you, no problem?
It was an email from the Prince's private secretary back in November, but it wasn't about him funding the project himself. He wanted to organise a consortium of local and national companies, which has happened, and we've all come together, and the project is well underway.
So how did you get to hear about your road? How did that come about?
We've got a fantastic media team here, and a wonderful article was put into the Observer newspaper, which landed on the desk of Prince William himself. So he read the article, and as the patron of the FA and the Duke Cornwall, he wants to get involved, and we're unbelievably delighted that he has done.
Well, Simon, it's not exactly a mouse hole. It's a lot bigger, more like an elephant hole or whatever we're talking about. We're leading up to your club. How bad was it?
The road, I mean, you could barely call it a road. It's ridden with potholes. I mean, just before the Prince got involved, the track rod end of my car snapped off driving up the road.
Oh.
So personally, I'm delighted. My car is now safe. But yeah, the road it just wasn't repairable. It wasn't accessible. So this new road is going to benefit the club, the community, and everybody in the local area.
Do we know how much it's going to cost, roughly?
No. So because it's a consortium of generosity, the businesses in the local area and nationally are all supporting the project. They're all donating. So we've got asphalt being donated. We've got heavy plant machinery being donated. So it's a number of different businesses all donating their time, effort and generosity. So, without Prince William's backing, without their backing, it wouldn't be happening.
And Simon, I'm reckoning this must create a really good feeling, a really good feel-good factor.
Unbelievable. Everybody in the local area is talking about it. I mean, I was at the local supermarket this morning and somebody shouted at me saying, "Get off my radio." So there's people talking about it all over the town, and it's generating a really good feel-good factor.
Okay, well, get off our TV and our radio this morning. We've got the message loud and clear. We wish you all the very, very best, and it's a really good thing. It's a lovely story.
Thanks,
Thank you
Simon.
so much.
Enjoy your new road.
We will do, and so will my car.
Yeah. Thanks very much. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a lovely story, isn't it?
It is a lovely story. It is a lovely story.
I love the Prince of Wales. I think he's great.
Right, a weather update. Honor Chiswick with that.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It could be a cloudier day for some with some showery outbreaks. These could turn heavy, possibly even thundery in many parts, but for many it is going to be feeling a lot cooler than it has done over the last few days. But nevertheless, quite a cloudy start, particularly across eastern and southeastern parts. This cloud thick enough to produce some showers at times, and these showers could be particularly heavy across eastern parts of Scotland, northeastern England. Could hear the odd rumble of thunder and possibly some heavy showers creeping into the southeast at times too, but for many it should be a largely dry and bright day. Still warm in the sunshine with highs reaching around 26 degrees Celsius, but it's going to feel much fresher, not quite as humid as it has done over the last few days. Then to finish off the day across Scotland, largely dry and bright to the west, that most of the showers creeping into eastern areas where once again one or two could be heavy, if not quite blustery, and fairly similar across Northern Ireland, northern parts of England. Mostly dry, though we can't rule out some showers, but definitely fewer showers across northeastern England compared to much of the day. And elsewhere across England and Wales, it should be mostly dry and a clear end to the evening. A breeze starting to pick up, which should offset the heat as well. But for many, as we head through the overnight period, it is going to feel much fresher, not quite as muggy and as uncomfortable, and for many it should remain largely dry. That's away from the northwest though. Cloud creeping in here and also some showers by the time we reach the early hours of the morning, but this time lows reaching the high single figures, so definitely not going to feel quite as warm to start on Thursday compared to what we've had over recent days. Now for many on Thursday, largely dry and bright, plenty of blue skies, particularly across the south and southeast, but once again across the northwest, more cloud pushing in here, some quite blustery showers, and once again one or two of these could turn rather heavy. So feeling a little fresher under cloudier skies, but once again warm and any sunshine, particularly across central parts and across the south. Bye-bye.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Now, as the temperatures continue to soar, we have got the coolest cash prize of the summer to be won.
£54,321. 54321. It's our latest Great British giveaway, and it could be yours.
The Great British Giveaway is now even greater, with your chance to win our biggest cash prize so far. A totally tax-free £54,321 cash could be yours. Cash that you could spend however you like. It's like having an extra £1,000 each week for a whole year to play with. Imagine what you could do with that. Someone is guaranteed to win this amazing amount of cash, so make sure that someone could be you. For another chance chance to win £54,321 cash. Text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Still to come, well, this is Royal Week in Scotland, and we'll be telling you what the Royals are actually doing in Edinburgh. Previewing that next.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
French authorities first seized the Lady T, and that's an Eastbourne-based fishing vessel. And next, they fined its skipper, Philip Edwards, €30,000 to release his boat. Now, the Lady T, operating legally under UK jurisdiction, was intercepted by a French patrol ship near the Somme Bay. Now, the incident has sparked massive outrage among British fishermen and is renewing calls for the government to stand firm against French overreach in national waters. Well, I'm delighted to say I'm now joining with Charlotte Edwards, who's the husband. Husband Philip is the skipper of the Lady T and is out fishing right now. Charlotte, welcome to the show. I've got to say, here at GB News, we are hugely supportive and appreciative of British fishermen and fisherwomen. Do a fantastic job. So if you're nervous about the interview, please don't be. I want to ask you how on earth this happened. I mean, there's been a lot of talk, for example, that the Lady T didn't have the correct paperwork, it was fishing illegally, and the French decided to pounce. What's the reality?
The paperwork just slipped through. It was an admin error. The other two boats had the permits, and unfortunately, his didn't at the time. He wasn't in as far in as they said he was. He was about 800 metres in their water. He wasn't near the 12-mile.
He was intercepted by the Pluvier. That's a French Navy ship. No, by the way, the sort of French Navy ships that just seem to give an escort to illegal dinghies coming into British waters, suddenly pouncing into action. The only boat they've managed to stop seems to be the Lady T.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Now, the King and Queen have begun Holyrood Week in Scotland, both carrying out engagements throughout the week to get engrossed in Scottish culture.
Well, yesterday the King was presented with the keys to Edinburgh, while Queen Camilla opened up a library.
Well, to walk us through it all with what their Majesties are up to today is GB News royal correspondent Cameron Walker. Morning to you, Cameron. And what are their Majesties up to today?
Good morning, Ellie. Quite a lot, actually, and I think it was a bit of a welcome relief yesterday where the King and Queen arrived via helicopter to the much cooler temperatures here in Scotland's capital city of Edinburgh. Of course, they spent the night in the Palace of Holyrood House behind me, their official residence. It is where they stay for the official week of Holyrood's Week while they're here in Edinburgh. It all began with the King taking part in the ceremony of the keys, being welcomed to Scotland's most ancient and hereditary kingdom of Scotland. Oh, a dog's just gone past me. Where he literally just puts his hand on a key and then, of course, the pillow, and then he gives back the key to the city for safekeeping. The Queen, meanwhile, as you were saying, opened up a library. But what was new this year, what was different and something that's never happened before was for the first time the Royal Company of Archers, which is the King's official ceremonial bodyguard while in Scotland, contained female archers. That's never happened before. There were 4 of them and they accompanied the King while he was hosting a garden party as well as conducting an investiture as well. The King also took part or hosted an audience with the presiding officer of Scotland's Mrs Alison Johnston. Now, in terms of John Swinney, the First Minister of Scotland, we don't know yet whether the King is going to meet him inside the Palace of Holyrood. It is custom for the King to meet his First Minister here in Scotland, but we haven't had any details as to when or if that is happening. As soon as I do have details on that, I will, of course, bring that straight to you. But the King and Queen continuing another number of engagements today. The Queen will be inside the palace a little bit later on today, hosting a reception for the Queen's Nursing Institute of Scotland. That was founded by Queen Victoria, actually, back in 1880s, where she gave a personal donation. It's all about supporting community nurses and midwives right across Scotland. So the Queen even will be thanking nurses for that. There were yesterday a few Republic protesters outside the palace as well, around 20. It's not an overwhelming number. They were small but noisy, let's put it that way. As things stand, there are currently no protesters outside, so perhaps they were just here yesterday to not welcome the King when him and the Queen arrived via helicopter. If you tune in just after 9 o'clock, I may be able to bring you some more details as to where the King and Queen are visiting today. So you have to make sure you keep tuning in to GB News Breakfast, and I'll be here all day bringing you the latest.
Oh, fantastic stuff, Cameron. Thank you very much.
Thank you. If you're travelling to work or school or out and about, going down to get some milk in the supermarket, anyway, you want to know what the roads are doing. Here's what's happening.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. In Edinburgh, drivers should be cautious due to surface water. The A470 is closed at Beat Amwiswai Coed for maintenance, with diversions in place. M60 delays clockwise between Junction 26 and Junction 1 in Stockport could add 90 minutes due to a traffic incident. The M69 northbound in Warwickshire has lane closures due to animals on the road, causing 30-minute delays. The M20 westbound in Kent between Junction 6 and Junction 4 has lane closures due to a broken-down vehicle. And on the trains, Avanti West Coast reports disruption between Stoke-on-Trent and Macclesfield. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Do stay with us still to come. Paul Coit will be here with all the sport, and hopefully he's going to be grovelling with some strawberries for me with no cream.
Yeah.
Let's hope
As long as
so.
he has the strawberries, that's the main thing. That's it. Back after this short break.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. It's sports time. Paul Coit is here with his tail between his legs.
I felt extremely guilty. So, for you, because earlier you said that you didn't want cream on your strawberries.
I'm lactose intolerant, yeah.
There's
not good
a
with dairy.
huge punnet of strawberries.
Thank you so much.
There
And
you go.
you put sugar on it already for me.
I have. I've put the sugar on.
Wait, where's nine?
You're going to tell me there's too much sugar on there and now you can't eat it. Is that right?
No, that looks amazing. And it matches my dress. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm very happy now. I'm done. You enjoy the sport.
You keep yourself busy there because Paul's got himself busy with a guest.
Well, you know, the Women's Euros begins today. And you know who the current holders are.
You're talking about the football Euros?
Yes, the football Euros. The holders, of course, are England. Of
course.
And it's in Switzerland. And the ambassador to the United Kingdom, Marcus Leitner, joins us right now. Morning, Mike. Oh, I should say Mr. Ambassador. Morning, Marcus. How are you? Excited?
Good morning. Well, we are very excited. Today's starting game with Switzerland taking on Norway, but very excited to host the many English and Welsh fans.
Excellent. Are you a sporting man yourself? Are you a big fan?
I am, and obviously particularly football. I think it's one of the greatest inventions that the British brought us.
Oh, I see. So you're going to try and rub us up the right way there. I can see exactly what's going on. How are you going to be spending it? Because is it going to be a bit strange, the fact, obviously, being the ambassador to this country, but watching your homeland play and not be far away? Basically, are you going to be there or are you going to be here? Where are you going to watch these matches?
I'll be here, and obviously for the Swiss matches there is no neutrality, but for all the others there is. So I'll be watching the Welsh game in Wales on Saturday, and at the village at the border of Wales and England, and then cross over in Cloniminiac from one pub to the next and watch the England game on Saturday night.
OK, so this is going to be very close because this is England versus France. So obviously you are going to be supporting England and Wales. There's no neutrality when it comes to that. But what about when it comes to Switzerland?
No, Switzerland, obviously, there, as I said, there is no neutrality there. I think the Swiss team needs all the support it can get. The preparations were not ideal, but the fans are enthusiastic, and I think the home crowd will support them and bring them forward.
I think it's almost like quite a quiet start to the tournament, but things get underway, I think, most excitingly for us once we get to Saturday. But you do play today. I know that's in Basel, so tickets are selling well, and there's a real excitement, I guess, in the country about this.
Absolutely. We have sold already a record number of tickets. 22 of the 31 matches are sold out. Obviously, the England and Wales matches were sold out among the first. And so we're very excited to host that many British fans in Switzerland. More than 40,000 are expected.
Now, I've got to ask you one more question, and that is about tennis. Now, the greatest player, we often say, of all time, the Swiss, the great Roger Federer. I'm really wondering, Marcus, is he going to be watching this? I imagine he's here for Wimbledon, so when Switzerland play later, will he be coming maybe over to the embassy to watch it with you, and what's the situation with him?
Well, he's definitely invited to watch it with us. We would be excited to host him, but he's from Basel as well, so I don't know if he's going to Basel for the opening game, but if he's in Wimbledon, I think we should have a fair chance to see him.
OK, well, please give him our best, and if that invite happens, then me, Eamonn and Ellie would be very happy to join you to watch the Swiss play a little bit later.
Please do.
OK, excellent. Good luck.
If you have your support, thank you.
You absolutely have our support now. There's no question about that. Thanks very much. Have a great day and have a great tournament as well. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very nice man.
Very nice.
But you didn't address him correctly at all.
I said Mr. Ambassador.
He's not Mr. Ambassador. He's Your Excellency. He's an ambassador to the Court of St. James, and he's known as Your Excellency.
OK, fine.
See, there you are.
I would have called him Mr. Ambassador.
Well, I then went with Marcus.
And you went with Marcus.
Your man, happy to everything went anyway.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm probably more likely to get the invite with him and Roger Federer than you are.
OK.
So you can nitpick my interviews, mister, and I'll just sit back and enjoy
Where do you see this? Where do you see this? Now, here's the idea about who we should put on these notes, right? Yes. These, what sort of way we should commemorate these notes. Now, this is, you might find it hard to recognise this person on this, but that is Miss Ellie.
That is not Miss Ellie.
That's Miss Ellie.
I look
Have you sent that in today?
With short hair.
Is that legal to do that? Could we actually get in trouble for this?
I don't know. A person called James sent this in and said, I'd like to see Ellie Costello on a banknote.
Can't see that's you.
No, I look horrific. That is so bad.
I think you're more insulted that you're not on the £50 note.
Yeah,
is that what it is?
Also, why have you put me on a £10, James? I deserve to be on 50, surely. So then we thought, let's get experimental, and we asked AI to make an Eamonn Holmes bank.
Oh, I like that.
Now that looks a lot better.
Oh, goodness.
I haven't done you dirty. Very strong eyebrows. You've got an inquisitive brow there.
Yeah.
Dear.
Like a real
next. Thank you very much.
Coity, we're working on yours. We're asking AI for yours.
OK. They don't do a half-pence anymore, do they?
I said a £5 note for you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paul.
Oh, any Wimbledon? Sorry, just slightly.
You want to do a little Wimbledon?
Well, I'll do a very quick Wimbledon.
Well, we've got games. We've got some games tonight. Alcaraz is playing, of course, and plays young Oliver Tarvet, who is only 21, and he is at number 766 in the world, and so he's playing the world number 1, and we wish him well.
Good man.
Good experience for him.
Right, let's take a break there. Oh,
That's not Paul Coit. Right, come on.
Who's that?
AI needs to do better. What? Who's that?
It's
That's AI for you.
Wow, that's a worry.
Yeah,
he
that's
looks
meant
so
to be
much
Paul
older than I do.
And bigger, I'd say, Coity.
Yeah, very upset.
Not right. They've got the suit. That was a nice Spurs suit, though. That was nice.
Yeah, I won't be back. I'm off to the Swiss embassy as well.
Yeah, with your new friend Marcus.
We've got the newspapers coming up very shortly, and also if you're in search of some holiday sun, here's the forecast for some of the top European destinations.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean all clear skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The European heatwave is set to continue, many areas seeing temperatures widely in the mid to high 30s, and this could be enough to trigger some thunderstorms across the Alps. But across Portugal, Spain, mostly settled, but still those intense temperatures starting to drop away from Thursday onwards. Some quite heavy showers across parts of Switzerland. These could bring some intense hail and also some frequent lightning. But as we move our way eastwards across the Mediterranean, mostly settled, plenty of sunshine and temperatures widely still in the mid to high 30s.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight on the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Tubes & Co. Weekdays from 6 p.m.
You have to tackle gross levels of inequality. Now, this is not about being... it's not about fairness or the politics of envy. It's about saying we need more money in average people's pockets so they can go out and spend. What's happening is a lot of people are spending all their money on rent and mortgages.
So you want to take money off rich people and give it to poorer people?
Yeah, but obviously, when I say rich, who do you imagine?
No, well, I don't know, because I'm not proposing it. You tell me.
So for me, I'm not talking about those who've done quite well, those who've grown their businesses. I'm talking about the billionaire class and the corporations. Oh. And I don't want to look at increasing income taxes necessarily. It should be about a wealth tax, because if we don't do anything about it, it's going to get worse. Now, what's interesting what you said about benefits, I know there's this pervasive idea. I just want to make that point quickly.
Finish this point. She's about to spontaneously combust, but hang on. Go on, finish your point.
There is this pervasive idea that, well, we need to cut benefits to force people into work. And you can understand the logic there. It makes sense, right? What's interesting is in Denmark, they have a higher labour rate of participation, which a fancy phrase of more working age people are in work than the UK. In 2022, it was like 80%, 2024, 75%. Look at the UK, only 53% of people in work, yet Denmark have a far higher or far generous welfare state.
Well, we've had a lot of cheap labour that has come in, which that's taken the levels of earnings down at times, and that's left...
I disagree with that.
Well, just let me finish. And that's left a lot of people who already live here, basically lounging on the sofa and thinking, well, my benefits are great, why should I get out of bed? Why should I get out of bed for another 20 quid a week? And we've got to get rid of that mentality, because it's the same
You're
people
using anecdotes here. You're not looking at the facts.
People
I've told
who
you the
seem
facts.
to be contributing to this economy year in and year out, and a lot of them are actually older.
GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Delighted to welcome back Norman Baker and Claire Muldoon to go through the newspapers. What are we going to begin with?
Oh, this is interesting, Norman. Tom Daley has revealed that he doesn't like open water.
This is a Daily Star, so it must be true. But Tom Daley says that not knowing what lies beneath freaks me out. He doesn't like open water. He just likes swimming pools, apparently.
He wouldn't like that prison in Alcatraz, then, really, for the illegal...
He wouldn't with the alligators. He wouldn't like that, no.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, isn't it? And it's also, I think, really good he said so, because he's very open about being honest with his feelings and everything else, Tom Daley. Yeah, but it's a curious dislike.
Is it a phobia?
Well, he says he doesn't like open water, so I suppose it's a phobia of sorts.
Well, talking of open water, that was an amazing rescue off the coast of Florida yesterday, that cruise ship. Oh. Where the child fell in the water and her father jumped in after her, and they were both rescued in the open sea. And I tell you, there can't be too many people who've lived to tell the tale of something like that. So
good news story, though.
Yeah, thank God they're both OK. Claire, pensioner parents are on the rise.
Do you know what? What's that actor who was in The Godfather? Al Pacino, right? He's got many great things to his name, I'd say. He's a great actor of his time. Do you know what else now he's actually can take charge of?
What?
The fact that he's fathered a child in his 80s. And that's a growing trend. Robert De Niro too, I think. Quite a lot of older men now, I think, would be collecting their pensions the same time as they're collecting their children from nursery. From the Office of National Statistics, of course, we know they're always bang on the money with their stats, nothing skewed at all. But there's a great trend here, a bigger trend here, of men predominantly having children later in life. Now, these could be second or third marriages, often with much younger partners. But I think that's actually a form of child abuse, to be honest with you, because these men in their 60s plus, they will, by the time the child's 21, they'd be lucky if they're still alive.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
they'll be lucky the child's still alive by the time the child's 4 or 5.
Well, that as well, Eamonn, and it's so sad. I always say to young mums, you know, try and have your children as young as you possibly can, because you need to be physically active and physically fit when they're young. You need to chase after them, you need to teach them things, you need to be out with them all the time. But when they're older, what you need is the emotional capacitance to deal with all the trials and tribulations that every single one of us have to deal with each day. But isn't it lovely? You can always go back to your mum or your dad and get the answer you need.
I watched my mother just be a different woman when she was 48 years of age, and she became pregnant with my youngest brother, Connor. And definitely you could see this was having a big take on her, and like she was, you know, coming up to 50 and whatever, and it was tough.
It was really, it must have been so tough for her, really tough, and indeed now it's tough as well for older people now having children, and it is very, very sad. And I can understand, I've got my eldest is 27, and I can understand fully why women particularly might be putting off having children. I'd say stop, please don't. Go ahead. Hopefully you're in a stable relationship. Have your children as early as you possibly can.
Norman?
I think it's very selfish for men who are 70 or 80 to have children. I really do, because they're not going to be around to bring those children up to go and play football with the boys or whatever they want to do with them. And it's just irresponsible. You know, they'll have no dad because he'll die.
Is there a cut-off, Norman, that you would think would be acceptable, socially or physically?
My daughter was born when I was 42, which meant that she was 60. I was 60 when she was 18. I think it's about right. I wouldn't go any further than that.
You don't want to push it much beyond that.
Push it much further than that, no.
Yeah, OK. Right, the Dalai Lama, Norman. This is very, very interesting. So, the Dalai Lama, where does he live at the moment? I mean, he's exiled,
he's been exiled. He left when the Chinese illegally invaded Tibet in 1959. Yeah. He ran across the Himalayas, and he's now in northern India, and Dharamsala. He's been there ever since. So he spent his first, 24 years in Tibet, and then he's been exiled in India ever since. And of course, the Dalai Lama is a reincarnation, if you're a Buddhist and you believe in these things, and it goes back 600 years. He's the 14th Dalai Lama. The same Dalai Lama each time, according to the Tibetans, you die and then you reincarnate as the same person. And of course, what's happening now is he said on his 90th birthday this week, he would announce what's going to happen with his reincarnation. And he says that will take place outside China. And he hasn't said where, but he may say so this week. I'm going to a Tibetan event tonight, so you might see something tonight from that. Because the Chinese government hates the fact that he is the person that the Tibetans all look up to, rather than Xi Jinping. And they're going to have their own Dalai Lama. And it's ironic.
What, they're going to have two Dalai Lamas?
Well, there'll be a real one and a Chinese one.
How's the real one made? How does this reincarnation thing work?
Oh, well, it works. It's quite interesting, because what happens is that traditionally what's happened is there are children who are identified potentially as a reincarnation by lamas. There are then a number of possessions which the Dalai Lama's had from his previous life, which are then taken, and they maybe say, let's say, 10 items and of each kind, and the child, the potential reincarnation, will pick out the relevant items, and will also be able to say that's mine and so on. It's quite a well-established process.
So the new Dalai Lama is actually ready to take the
The reincarnated Dalai Lama will be identified from that process as and when the existing Dalai Lama dies. But of course, it's a political vacuum because the Dalai Lama will necessarily be a child, and there'll be a regent of some sort for a number of years. So it's a weakness in the system that works that way. But anyway, the Chinese will announce their own Dalai Lama because they hate the idea of the Tibetans being independent. And of course, the idea of an atheist government, a communist government, identifying a reincarnation of a Lama is beyond belief, really.
Yeah, it's so interesting.
It is interesting.
So interesting. Claire, civil servant, got a story in the Telegraph for us.
Dotty civil servants spent £500,000 on a full stop. This is all because of we all know the phrase gov.uk. It's that dot we're talking about. It's been rebranded. The dot is not in place now of where a normal full stop would be. They've raised it up and put it between the middle of the gov and the UK. A 150-page document has now been produced on top of this new rebranding.
How many full stops in it?
I lost count, Dot. It's again another thing that this government or the civil servants just have carte blanche to spend money on, and they really have lost the plot.
So the idea is what? To make this stuff more recognisable or more identifiable?
Well, they've changed the branding because there's going to be a new wallet for your password instead of UK government gateway now that you're now sent off into. If you've got your HMRC app on your phone, you've got that basic information, and then you need to go again through the government gateway to get that. This is all going to surpass that. It's going to be a one-factor, two-factor authentication process on your phone, in your wallet, and this is the rebranding of it.
Yes, appalling waste of money.gov.
Yeah, exactly.
Norman, let's have a look at transport bills for special needs pupils, shall we?
This is an enormous bill for councils. Councils, as you know, are struggling with money. Many are going close to bankruptcy. And one of the major factors they're having to face is overall a £2 billion transport bill for special needs pupils, which has increased horribly, really, in the last 20 years. A 40% increase over the last 5 years in the costs of transporting special education needs children, some of whom, for example, are dyslexic and don't need special transport, in my view. They can get to school themselves. They don't need that special transport. But because they're now getting education, health and care plans, that's including a transport element. So councils now being forced by this to provide taxi travel for a whole lot of children who, quite frankly, are able to get on the bus.
So they're being picked up by at home and then ferried privately to their schools. And I would say this is a massive result of over-diagnosing in children. And it's, you know, to get children into school, sometimes you have to get boxes ticked. So therefore, because schools are often doing better in certain areas than others, parents will then say, well, I want my child to go to that school. Well, in order to get over the threshold of the admissions criteria, you might need a statement of educational needs, which is the SEN, which then will superimpose you on top of anyone else, any other child, like sibling, or you're in the area, but it'll still be below those children that have been in care and looked after in care and then subsequently adopted. I think it's down to the fact that yes, one, overdiagnosis, but two, also, is lazy parenting. I mean, who would not want to get their children picked up by a taxi and taken to school wherever they are? It's really bad.
I came across an example of a mum who said she would take her SEN child on a bus with her in the morning to school instead of having a taxi. And the local authority said, well, we're not paying for you to go on the bus. Although it was cheaper, we'll pay for the kid to go in a taxi, but we're not going to pay for you on the bus.
Oh, goodness sake.
There's no joined-up thinking, is there? There really isn't. .com. It's awful.
There's something that's not so awful. They're saying that the Chinese are using artificial intelligence to revive lots of old films. Now, I'm not exactly sure how that will work, but presumably it could colorise films.
That's a terrible idea. Have you seen Laurel and Hardy colorised? It's just not right.
No, do you know, I don't think they've ever done these things right, like films like It's a Wonderful Life, colorised and whatever, and it just doesn't look right, it's not right. But this is a different intelligence, I think. But it's interesting. But on the subject of Laurel and Hardy, funny. I mean, I sit and watch clips on Instagram, and they are the funniest people. They really
Slapstick humour.
Yeah, and I have to say, I took my daughter to see a Charlie Chaplin 1921 film when she was about 6, and I wonder how she'd like it. She thought it was hilarious.
Oh.
Hilarious, OK. On that funny note, thank you both very much indeed for today.
You.
Here's your weather.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It could be a cloudier day for some with some showery outbreaks. These could turn heavy, possibly even thundery in many parts, but for many it is going to be feeling a lot cooler than it has done over the last few days. But nevertheless, quite a cloudy start, particularly across eastern and southeastern parts. This is cloud thick enough to produce some showers at times, and these showers could be particularly heavy across eastern parts of Scotland, northeastern England. Could hear the odd rumble of thunder and possibly some heavy showers creeping into the southeast at times too, but for many it should be a largely dry and bright day. Still warm in the sunshine with highs reaching around 26 degrees Celsius, but it's going to feel much fresher, not quite as humid as it has done over the last few days. Then to finish off the day across Scotland, largely dry and bright to the west, that most of the showers creeping into eastern areas where once again one or two could be heavy if not quite blustery, and fairly similar across Northern Ireland, northern parts of England, mostly dry, though we can't rule out some showers, but definitely fewer showers across northeastern England compared to much of the day, and elsewhere across England and Wales it should be mostly dry and a clear end to the evening, a breeze starting to pick up which should offset the heat as well. But for many, as we head through the overnight period, it is going to feel much fresher, not quite as muggy and as uncomfortable, and for many it should remain largely dry. That's away from the northwest though, cloud creeping in here and also some showers by the time we reach the early hours of the morning, but this time lows reaching the high single figures, so definitely not going to feel quite as warm to start on Thursday compared to what we've had over recent days. Now for many on Thursday, largely dry and bright, plenty of blue skies, particularly across the south and southeast, but once again across the northwest, more cloud pushing in here, some quite blustery showers, and once again one or two of these could turn rather heavy. So feeling a little fresher under cloudier skies, but once again warm and any sunshine, particularly across central parts and across the south. Bye-bye.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the A75, a traffic incident at Cuckoo Bridge roundabout requires caution and extra journey time. The A470 by Rail Bridge in Betty-Dywezi Coed is closed for maintenance with diversions. Lane closures on Warwickshire's M69 northbound between the M6 and Junction 1 caused 30-minute delays. A broken down vehicle on London's M25 clockwise between junctions 25 and 26 has closed one lane. Kent's M20 westbound between junctions 6 and 4 reports a broken down vehicle, restricting a lane. And on the trains, Gatwick Express has no service, while Avanti West Coast faces disruptions. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
£54,321 cash could be yours. Cash that you could spend however you like. It's like having an extra £1,000 each week for a whole year to play with. Someone is guaranteed to win this amazing amount of cash, so make sure that someone could be you. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Good morning. A humiliating climb down for the Prime Minister as his flagship welfare bill descends into chaos.
Well, a late concession to Labour rebels has wiped out most of the £4.6 billion savings that Sir Keir Starmer had pledged to deliver.
Well, with 49 Labour MPs defying their own party, a question this morning: has Starmer lost control?
Well, Sir Keir Starmer is the Prime Minister, but clearly it was his backbench MPs who called the shots last night. All the money Rachel Reeves hoped to save is gone. How on earth are they going to pay for it?
A shocking new report finds that universities did not protect gender-critical academics from harassment. We'll be debating that.
To put Doge on Elon, you know what Doge is? Doge is the monster that might have to go back and eat Elon. Wouldn't that be terrible?
Donald Trump threatens to set the Department of Government Efficiency on Elon Musk as the pair feud again over the president's budget plans.
It's Royal Week in Scotland, with the King and Queen attending events in Edinburgh today.
Yes, Their Majesty spent the night at the Palace of Holyrood House in Edinburgh, their official residence in Scotland's capital city. Find out what they're up to very shortly.
Hello there, good morning. A cloudier day ahead for some with some heavy showers, but for others, dry, bright, plenty of sunshine and not feeling quite as warm. Stay tuned and I'll have all the details.
And a very good morning to you. Very good to have you on board. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello and this is GB News Breakfast.
Sir Keir Starmer's flagship welfare reforms bill has limped through its first vote in the House of Commons last night.
But that was only after a last-minute U-turn gutted the bill of some of its key proposals, including plans to tighten the eligibility of personal independent payments, or PIP.
Well, despite any concessions, 49 Labour MPs voted against, branding the whole process shambolic and unedifying.
I'm angry. This is no way to make legislation. What an absolute mess.
These Dickensian cuts belong to a different era and a different party.
I think that vote will hang like an albatross around their necks.
Well, now questions are being raised over whether the government will increase taxes further, as almost all of the £4.6 billion worth of annual savings the bill was meant to deliver has been lost.
Well, our political correspondent Catherine Foster is here with us in the studio. So, Keir Starmer will be waking up today. Will he think job done?
Oh, no, I don't think so. It has been disastrous, really, for the Prime Minister, I would say. Yes, they won the vote. I put one in inverted commas because basically to get it through, they had to pretty much gut it. There's very little left of it. And the central reforms, which were to save £5 billion on personal independence payments, have been taken out altogether. There's some minor changes to universal credit. There's going to be a review. Stephen Timms, the minister, is going to do that along with disability charities. Some suggestions from the IFS, the Institute for Fiscal Studies, that if anything, ultimately this might even cost the money. So a Prime Minister who said that it was a moral necessity, a moral mission. And here we are, no money saved, utter chaos, and backbench MPs basically ordering the Prime Minister around.
OK, Catherine, we'll be back to you in just a moment. Let's cross live to Westminster now and speak to the government, shall we? And the Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, Pat McFadden. Good to see you this morning, Mr McFadden.
Good morning.
Good morning. Let's talk about the welfare bill, shall we, that limped through the House last night. I mean, it passed, but essentially Sir Keir Starmer took on his MPs and he lost, didn't he? It's humiliating for him. Has he lost control of the party?
It's been a very difficult process in the last couple of weeks. Very impassioned debates in the Labour Party about this issue of welfare reform, as there always are. And where we eventually got to last night was taking forward those elements of universal credit reform that were in the bill, but taking that very contentious issue of PIP reform and giving that into a review led by my colleague Stephen Timms, the Disability Minister. He's an excellent person to do this, a very experienced, deeply compassionate politician, and we'll have to take that forward in a different way.
So how much money are you going to save with this bill? Have you actually been able to work that out, Pat?
There's definitely a financial consequence to the decision taken yesterday. If you're not saving money from this, it has to come from somewhere. All of that will have to be taken into the round, along with all the other government expenditure pressures when we reach a budget later in the year. I'm not going to speculate about that now, but I do acknowledge there's a financial consequence to the decision reached last night.
Aye, and if that financial consequence wasn't the consequence that you want, is there any point going ahead with this?
Yeah, there is, because there are still elements of this which are important in helping long-term sick and disabled people into work. We are an outlier in terms of the proportion of people in work today compared to the pre-COVID period when we look at other countries. So there's something that's gone wrong in the UK, and the elements that were passed last night will help to do something about there's almost an incentive at the moment for people to go for the health-related universal credit element rather than the standard, because the financial gap between them is so big. There's not enough employment support for people who are on long-term sickness or disability benefits. We believe with that support, more could get into work. So there is a point in going ahead, but it's been a difficult process. There's no denying that. There's no soft-soaping it. And with that most contentious element, we now have to take that forward in a different way.
And how is Rachel Reeves going to plug that gap of £5 billion worth in savings, which has now essentially been lost? Is she going to have to come back with tax rises in the autumn?
Well, I don't want to speculate about the budget. I've acknowledged that the decision taken yesterday does have a financial consequence. While that is a substantial amount of money, it's in the context of a much, much bigger government budget that covers all the departments, all the commitments, not just work and pensions. So she will have to take that into consideration in the round along with everything else. This is one element, one moving part, if you like, in a budget, but a budget has 100 or more moving parts, and what the Chancellor has to do is put them all together in one package when the time comes.
Pat, how would you sum up the relationship now between backbenchers and the Prime Minister? Is it strained? Is it soured? Is it repairable?
Look, it's been a difficult process, but I believe in being a team. You know, I chaired the election campaign that concluded almost exactly a year ago. We won that election as a team. The Cabinet serves together as a team. And even though this has been difficult, it's been fractious at times, we'll move forward from this as a team as well.
It's incredible, though, isn't it? If you think you're not even a government that's 1 year old, you're turning one on Saturday, that's your 1 year anniversary. But you must be worrying now, realistically, practically, how are you going to get things passed in the House? I mean, already you've given this message to Labour MPs that any sign of rebellion or controversy, that you will U-turn. You turned on winter fuel, you've U-turned on the national inquiry with grooming gangs, you've now U-turned on this. We have the Prime Minister himself talking about islands of strangers and then saying that he regrets that. So U-turning on his own speeches now. What message are you giving to your party?
Look, I think reflection on things is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. and there are many nettles being grasped. We have grasped the nettle of planning reform that stopped or slowed down building in this country for years. We're pressing ahead with new nuclear power stations that have been held up for years. We're starting the turnaround in the NHS. And today, by the way, we are announcing the biggest expansion in social and affordable housing for a generation. And all of that's only possible because of the leadership of the Prime Minister and the Chancellor and the Deputy Prime Minister in putting their shoulder behind the wheel of those decisions.
Yeah. Tell us about these housing plans that you have, because these are very, very important, Pat. They, you know, for the country to move forward in terms of, you know, just finding homes for people in general, finding social homes for the population, which we're very short on. What are you planning to do that will change things?
Well, in the spending review that took place a few weeks ago, the Chancellor set aside £39 billion over the coming years to invest in social and affordable housing, and we hope through that to get 300,000 social and affordable houses. This will make a massive difference to the constituents of every MP in Parliament. We all have people at our advice surgeries every month, overcrowded, maybe living with their parents and so on, looking for a council or a housing association flat. This is a step change in the provision of social and affordable housing. I would say it's one of the biggest unmet needs in the country.
Yeah.
It's very corrosive to people's hopes for their future. So today is a plan of hope to do something about that in a big, big step change from anything that we've seen for decades in this area.
Well, good luck to you, Pat. We hear what you're saying, and we'll talk about it again sometime in the future. Always a pleasure talking to you. We've got to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Well, listening across to that is our political correspondent, Catherine Forster, who's still with us in the studio. What do you make of it, Catherine?
Well, really, what he didn't say, when you said, has the Prime Minister lost control of the party, Pat McFadden, one of the most experienced people in Labour, didn't say no, of course not. He simply said it's very difficult. And also on the money, how much has this been saved, you said, Eamonn. He's admitted, basically, if we're not saving money, there will be a financial consequence for the decision reached last night. And he said, I believe in being a team. The public cannot stand to see parties fighting amongst themselves. But, you know, a message has been sent to all those MPs who won last night. They can push the Prime Minister around. If they don't like stuff, they can just vote against it. So it's very difficult to see how the Prime Minister and the Chancellor get back on the front foot from this.
Interesting times, Catherine. Interesting. I know you're across this all day, and we'll hear from you throughout the day. Thank you very much indeed.
Now, a damning new report says universities are failing to protect gender-critical academics from harassment.
Now, this review has warned that a chilling effect has been created where even discussing biological sex can lead to bullying and career damage, with free speech and academic freedom under sustained attack. So we've got the Executive Director of Sex Matters, Maya Forster, to talk to now about that. Maya, good morning to you. Maya, hiya. Maya, just explain to people why this is important, why this is threatening, why you think the public should be worried about this. This is not a university-only problem.
No, I mean, universities are places that create knowledge, that build understanding of the world, and sex is a fundamental category for that, whether that's in medicine, crime, social studies, across every area of human life, sex matters. And what this report shows is that when academics simply want to collect data related to sex, male and female, or use the categories male and female, they're accused of erasing trans people, and that's seen as being an act of violence, and then that apparent act of academic violence is used as justification for harassment, threats, which close down individual research projects, events, publications, but also the whole culture of universities.
May, are you in trouble over this? And if so, what? Just explain to people what happened to you.
Well, I wasn't working in a university. I was working for a think tank, and I lost my job for wanting to speak about sex and gender back in 2019. But since then, I won a case. But since then, the precedent that was developed by my case has been used by academics such as Jo Phoenix, who lost her job or left the Open University after a savage campaign of harassment against her, and people like Kathleen Stock, who was driven out of Sussex University. The back of this report has 58 mass letters that are written and published against various academics in all different disciplines who have put their head above the parapet and said, we need to understand sex as a variable in the subject that is their area of concern. And they've had hundreds of their colleagues writing letters accusing them of violence, of being fascists, of being on the far right. And that closes down academic research for hundreds of other people who don't have the courage to put their head above the parapet.
And Maya, what did you experience when you were vocal on your stance when it came to gender-critical ideas and women's rights? Were you a victim of harassment or bullying in your workplace?
Yes, I mean, there were a couple of complaints about me because I'd put something on Twitter about the government's consultation on sex and gender and reform of the Gender Recognition Act. And my employer investigated me. They got the DE&I consultants to comb through all my tweets. And they looked, in fact, at something that I'd written defending Kathleen Stock. And these DE&I consultants said, see, she's defending the witch. She's defending somebody who's been seen as controversial. Therefore, what she's saying is unacceptable. And my employers went with that. Yeah. And so they ended my contract. And I had to take them to employment tribunal. And I won eventually 4 years. Yeah. But nobody wants to go through that. People want their jobs.
Maya, just finally and briefly, because we're out of time, why should this affect a general audience listening and watching you today? What would you say to people, what they've got to guard against or what they've got to be worried about?
Universities are training the doctors of tomorrow. And if doctors don't know what sex is, if doctors are afraid of saying that it's wrong to give puberty blockers to underage children, then they won't protect us. What happens in universities matters for what happens outside.
Thank you very much indeed for explaining all of that and for appearing on the programme this morning. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, as temperatures continue to soar, we have got the coolest cash prize of the summer to be won.
54,321 quid could be yours.
Here's how.
The Great British Giveaway is now even greater, with your chance to win our biggest cash prize so far. A totally tax-free £54,321 cash could be yours. Cash that you could spend however you like. It's like having an extra £1,000 each week for a whole year to play with. Imagine what you could do with that. Someone is guaranteed to win this amazing amount of cash, so make sure that someone could be you. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
We're live to Scotland next Royal Week there. We'll be letting you know what the King and Queen are up to. Join us for that live right after this.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
Because you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news,
please bring us up to date.
Or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
King and Queen began the week in Scotland with both carrying out engagements throughout the week to get engrossed in Scottish culture.
Well, yesterday, King Charles was presented with the keys to Edinburgh, while Queen Camilla opened up a library.
Well, here to walk us through what Her Majesties are up to today, there's our royal correspondent Cameron Walker. Mr. Cameron, good morning to you.
Good morning, Eamonn, and welcome to a very wet and drizzly Edinburgh here in Scotland. King and Queen have just spent the night in the Palace of Holyrood House. During Holyrood's week, the helicopter has just landed in the garden, presumably to take them to the next engagements. And I can now reveal that the King and Queen are going to be heading across the Firth of Forth, that body of water to the north of Edinburgh, to the town of Kirkcaldy, to mark the centenary of the town's war memorial and also unveil a commemorative cairn, which is basically a symbolic pile of stones. I can hear the helicopter getting louder and louder, which presumably means that Their Majesties may have just taken off from the back garden of the Palace of Holyrood House. If we do manage to hear it or see it, we'll of course bring you a shot. But I'll keep going as to what the King and Queen are doing this afternoon. So the Queen is coming back here to Edinburgh a little bit later on and will be hosting a reception inside the castle for nurses, community nurses and midwives here across Scotland. It's part of the Queen's Nursing Institute of Scotland, which was funded originally by Queen Victoria from a private donation in the 1880s. So that's what the Queen is up to. The King hosted an investiture yesterday, as well as a garden party in the grounds of the palace. And for the first time ever, his ceremonial bodyguards here in Scotland, the Royal Company of Archers, were female for the first time.
Thanks, Cameron. Thanks for
bringing that to us. We look forward to your reports, Cameron, today. Have a good day. Thank you very much indeed.
Britain's Newsroom coming up at 9:30. Andrew and Bev are here to tell us all about it. Morning, you two.
Morning. Tanni Grey-Thompson's going to be on the show first thing this morning to react to this disability bill vote yesterday. That is the kind of person we should be listening to on this.
Absolutely. She's our most decorated Paralympian. And what else are we talking about?
We're talking about whether the flags above
right.
council buildings should be Union Jacks or should they be Pride flags. Apparently they've been hijacked. We've got some great guests and a lot more.
And we've got the weather.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It could be a cloudier day for some with some showery outbreaks. These could turn heavy, possibly even thundery in many parts, but for many it is going to be feeling a lot cooler than it has done over the last few days. But nevertheless, quite a cloudy start, particularly across eastern and southeastern parts. This cloud thick enough to produce some showers at times, and these showers could be particularly heavy across eastern parts of Scotland, northeastern England. Could hear the odd rumble of thunder and possibly some heavy showers creeping into the southeast at times too, but for many it should be a largely dry and bright day. Still warm in the sunshine with highs reaching around 26 degrees Celsius, but it's going to feel much fresher, not quite as humid as it has done over the last few days. Then to finish off the day across Scotland, largely dry and bright to the west, but most of the showers creeping into eastern areas where once again one or two could be heavy, if not quite blustery, and fairly similar across Northern Ireland, northern parts of England. Mostly dry, though we can't rule out some showers, but definitely fewer showers across northeastern England compared to much of the day. And elsewhere across England and Wales, it should be mostly dry and a clear end to the evening. A breeze starting to pick up, which should offset the heat as well. But for many, as we head through the overnight period, it is going to feel much fresher, not quite as muggy and as uncomfortable. And for many, it should remain largely dry. That's away from the northwest, though. Cloud creeping in here and also some showers by the time we reach the early hours of the morning. But this time, lows reaching the high single figures, so definitely not going to feel quite as warm to start on Thursday compared to what we've had over recent days. Now for many on Thursday, largely dry and bright, plenty of blue skies, particularly across the south and southeast, but once again across the northwest, more cloud pushing in here, some quite blustery showers, and once again one or two of these could turn rather heavy. So feeling a little fresher under cloudier skies, but once again warm and any sunshine, particularly across central parts and across the south. Bye-bye.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A75 at the junction with the A780 is currently restricted westbound due to a road traffic incident. Motorists should approach with care and plan for additional travel time. Heading to Wales, the A470 is closed in both directions for planned maintenance near Betty W.C. Coed, with diversions in place. In Warwickshire, the M69 northbound is facing delays due to animals on the road between the M6 and Junction 1. Please be cautious in this area. And on the trains, there is no service on the Gatwick Express, while the Avanti West Coast is experiencing disruptions between Stoke-on-Trent and Macclesfield. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
The Camilla Tominey Show, Sunday mornings from 9:30.
She left office 35 years ago, which seems incredible.
God, that makes me feel really old. I remember being at school when she was deposed.
Oh, that makes me feel really old because I was way beyond school.
Well, I was 47 yesterday, so...
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you. Carry on.
So there are three generations that have grown up that weren't alive when Margaret Thatcher was Prime Minister. And there are so many myths that have built up about her that... and part of the reason I wrote it was because my personal trainer, I broke my hip 2 years ago.
Yes.
So I had to get a personal trainer to the rehab. And he's 25, or was then. And when he found out what I did for a living, he said, well, Margaret Thatcher, I've heard of her, but who was she? What did she do? He didn't even know she'd been Prime Minister. And I was slightly horrified by this. So this is really aimed